All right, recording has started. We are broadcasting. So, for everybody tuning in, welcome to the 1879 actual play. I am the line developer for 1879, and we'll let everybody else do the introductions and we can get the recap out of the way. That's your cue, guys. Introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Joel. I'm one of the 1879 writers. I'm playing Morgana, who is a aristocrat who, if not quite running away from home to become an investigator, is certainly absconding from home during the day to live a more exciting life than being a young noblewoman affords her.
Hi, I'm Chris. I have done a little bit of writing for 1879, and I'm playing Weymont, who is a mage, and the black sheep of his family, who is, well, it's a very well-to-do family, really.
I'm Michelle and I'm playing August. He's a startup investigator trying to get basically his life back on track after contracting looking glass fever.
I am, I am playing River, an explorer looking to find a place to call her own with a community of just Boojums and other outcasts of society.
I'm Andi, and I think that Brad is a dictator who wouldn't let us send out all the wonderful information we just had on English soda because he's mean. And
Hey, we can send it out. I just didn't get the recording started.
totally should have. That was
That is
valuable
None
information.
of
How is
none of it is
anybody
fair.
going to know about UK sodas without valuable information? I'm just saying.
UK sodas is fine, but I want to make very clear here that Iron Brew is not an English soda.
That's UK soda. I apologize. And that root beer is universal. See? See? All right. Now, who would like to recap for us?
I suppose I'll recap. I think I can remember where we were. We were investigating a series of thefts from a prestigious London jeweller's that appears to be taking place in the transfer of some of their imported goods for them to create their fancy jewellery from. And the attacks are taking place somewhere between the ship and their warehouse. And it would appear that somebody is providing the criminals with inside knowledge. Thus, we have been trying to root things out and investigate the firm from every angle we could think of. And there may have been a brief discussion, possibly verging towards argument, between Morgana and River about the practicalities of your ladies' clothes and the capability of hiding weapons within them. I think that covers everything from last time. We had many questions. I remember that much.
We went around to the offices, though, remember? And we did have a little look around. We spoke with some of the other clerks and whatnot who were there, and I in particular noticed that there was a ghost, possibly a ghost, a spirit, like hanging about the offices that looked like the grandfather of the owner.
And Brad had a lot of
Yes, that was the bit.
So yeah, so part of you guys were coming in as kind of consultants from the insurance company and getting an overall look at everything. And you guys were in the basement level where they keep the computers isn't the right word. Engines is the right word.
Yes, the analytical engine.
The analytical engine, because they are trying to be modern somewhat. And Morgana and River had gone into the main floor and were kind of getting a peek see at how and who and how they run things there. And they had some questions that they don't have answers to quite yet, but some people that they want to keep kind of an eye on. Does that sound like that covers most of it?
I think that covers most of it.
Yes, and the spirit was following you guys around, but would not go into Charles's office. Charlie's office. Charlie's office? Charles?
Yes,
Charlie?
Charlie, who was the Lovelace or computer security operations person for the office, if I recall correctly.
Right. And she was not in our office because she is downstairs with the analytical engine, who was recently hired. And you saw flowers that were signed J. God, yeah. This is sounding familiar. I remember we did these things. I love this. Mother is a lady who lunches. That's pretty much right.
It's a proper British term.
Yeah, no,
For a
that's not
certain class of lady.
Yeah. All right.
Lot of time in fancy places and lots of charity galas.
Okay. So, Brad's character has a ton of questions. Are you going to ask them of Charlie? Or are you just trying to? Are you going to ask them of?
I figure most of my questions will kind of
What's his
lead
name?
to organically, because a lot of them will lead into one another. So we'll see where we go, but I put them all in the chat so you had an idea where my mind was heading in advance.
Yeah. We'll see how much I pay attention. I don't know. So
Oh,
yeah, or I'm gonna say whether you're gonna ask them of Eddington or if you're gonna ask them of Charlie. Was part of the question. So I think we're picking up with you guys down in the basement level, correct?
I think that sounds right.
And if I
Because
remember
we
correctly,
wrapped up
there's
with Morgana and River, I believe.
yeah. So the analytical engine is down there. There's some paper storage down there because the analytical engine. I'm just gonna give this. It's fairly new. And you guys, it looks fairly new. So they still have a lot of paper files. Some of which they're trying to get on the analytical engine, which is part of Charlie's job to oversee, and part of which they go back, generations. So there's a lot of paper storage, there's a lot of office supply storage, stuff that doesn't fit up in the closet upstairs type of thing. There's the safe, which is a big walk-in safe. Like this is not something you're going to pick up and drag out of the building. It is bigger than the safe that was on the second floor. So the second floor where they had a lot of people working and it was very like you had to be buzzed in and out, and they had little like rooms that the goldsmiths often not workshops, like their little workspaces where they would like check things in and out. That seems to be a smaller one that it's still big, but smaller than the one downstairs. Um Another easy one, a lot of the more expensive jewelry does get put up at night. So they put it in they take the little things and they put it on a cart and they wheel the cart into the thing, and then the next morning they will wheel it out. So that if there was a break in, it reduces the possibility of easy snatch and grab type stuff. And he'd probably even tell you parts of that, as part of the security measures, the more expensive stuff, and he can even unlock the safe, and you guys can see, like, I mean, this thing is, what, foot thick, built into the basement, um, there's lots of little cubbies, and some of the cubbies even have locks on the cubbies, like they're little miniature safes inside the safe. However, there's also just these like 3-4 carts that literally they would wheel upstairs, put stuff on the carts, wheel the carts back down. Next morning, take the cart, wheel it, put the stuff up, put the cart back downstairs. I mean, they have to the naked, untrained eye, if nothing else, they really have tried to make this, at least as far as the building itself, it's fairly secure. You would have a much harder time stealing from the building. So as he's showing you guys around, what do you want to do? What do you want to look at? What do you want to ask?
Well, because the thefts aren't occurring from the building here; they're
They're not.
occurring from the ships in the
Right.
dock.
Which could be something that also, I don't know if that it makes any difference, but makes it so that yeah, they're going to do it there because that's a lot easier to hit than the building itself.
Right. So less of the concern here is for the jewelry itself; more of it's for the data.
Yes, I would think. But and again, part of that could simply be that, and Brad can correct me, or Chris or Joel, this whole analytical engine thing is still fairly new for most companies.
For a lot of them, it's been around enough where they're starting to get a security culture.
Right. But it's fairly new, and you can tell just from the boxes and filing cabinets, like the wall of filing cabinet type things, that they've been paper for, I mean, generations. And you'll find that older companies like that are slower to move to new things. But there's basically like clientele files, and then there's shipping files, and then there's like different vendor files. They'd be happy to, like, because they literally they keep records. So like Lady, Morgana, and River won't have seen this technically, but after they left, the charming salesman Henry, part of his job is to go in the back, write down everything he remembers, her name, the color of her clothing, the type of things she said she was interested in, any of the sketches, and those would go into a file with whatever name she gave, so that at any point in time, if they happen to know that someone's coming over, or if you come over and they weren't expecting you, they literally can send someone like Sarah, the lower clerk, down to go scan the files and feed him information so it sounds like he remembers them. And also so that they keep track of, you had this made, da 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 da. So they can, even if you're a regular customer and they know that you like emeralds, they can do things like, oh, hey, we got this emerald and we think you're interested, you might like to look at.
So what parts of this data are in physical logs and what parts in the engine? And I suppose
So at
probably
this
that's going to
point,
get addressed with Charlie.
to Charlie. So Charlie is in there. She's actually looks like she's trying to get people to feed older information in. They're starting from like newest and working their way backwards. So they at this point still basically have both physical and analytical on the computer data engine for all the customer information. They don't for vendors, and the shipping information they're just now getting put on in the last 6 months or so. And Charlie is very specific about how she thinks that they should no longer keep any paper records on any of that because it's not secure. It would be too easy for someone to walk down here and get a hold of that, or walk into the offices and get a hold of it. She's also trying to convince them. She's very gung ho. She comes off very gung ho about the system, that they need kind of an inter building system where that stuff that's decided on the top floor can go specifically straight into the analytical engine without being brought down here. But apparently, and she says it politely yet kind of, I don't want to say arrogant or snide, but there's an edge to it, that Mr. Wright has been slow to embracing the technology. So they're still having to basically bring the stuff downstairs to feed into the machine. And basically, Mr. Wright kind of mumbles something about god awful looking devices. And if you remember, all of the offices are, at least to the person's taste, tastefully decorated, if sparsely in some cases, or monochromatic.
So I take it then you have no remote terminals. Everything's entered directly at the store.
Everything's entered directly at the store, in the basement. To which Charlie seems to think is a bad idea, and obviously a security risk. It's all much safer in the machine.
Well, yes and no. I mean, having one.
If you say yes and no, her eyes narrow on you. As soon as that no comes out of your mouth, that her eyes narrow. And you can see tightening at the corners of her lips.
Well, if there's only one point to access the data, then you can secure that location physically much better than you can multiple remote terminals. The obviously you would understand the best method is going to be having a lockout system with punch cards and door security added as well.
This entire building is basically door security.
But engine-driven door security.
Well, if I was allowed to do everything as I've asked, pointed look at Mr. Eddington, Mr. Wright, then yes. But currently, this is the system that he's chosen. And he kind of interrupts with, I will say that finding information on customers is a lot easier with the bloody, blasted, ugly thing. And Charlie just seems to kind of inwardly sigh, count at 5, you know. Of course it is. And if we had terminals on the other floors, then no one would have to come down here to search that information. And it would be even faster. If you would put some money into research, we might find that there are even ways to make it portable. Imagine if the clerks could take a device with them that when a customer walked in the door, they could just quickly, look them up by their name without having to go to a terminal on that floor, hidden behind whatever, or going all the way downstairs to look it up. The speed, the time that's not wasted, we would be not just the jeweler to the crown, but we would be on the cutting edge of technology. And you can just, Mr. Wright's eyes have kind of glazed over. And he just isn't a technology human, apparently.
Not everyone is.
Yeah, but yeah, his eyes have glazed over, and you can kind of, there's some terminals that are kind of attached in this area to the machine that are for like clerks to come down. So like in the case earlier, Sarah would come down and she could type in a name and pull up information if that client is in the system already, of which obviously they've been working on it. They're not through everybody. Or they could go to the actual filing cabinets, to which, as this is being explained, Charlie will make some comment about how the filing cabinets are a waste of space and that they could expand part of their computer system, their analytical engine system, with that space. But basically, Mr. Wright is almost annoyed at this, as if this is some sort of argument that they've had in the past, where he thinks that the bloody machine will break and then all of the information will simply just be lost. And he is completely unwilling to give up the backup paper files.
Well, redundant backups are important. Speaking of,
Charlie will give you the evil eye again. Like, you are getting the side eye, dude.
well, no, any data security person will tell you backups are important.
In which she would be like, fine, put that in the warehouse.
But
somewhere away.
Speaking of, where are your engine backups taken? Obviously, you would want to keep them in an external facility in case of fire or other damage.
She'll look over at Mr. Wright as if not willing to just share that information. And he's like, no, no, no. They've been completely vetted and are secured through the insurance company. It's fine. And she kind of is. This is not information she wants to give up, obviously, probably for good reason. They're kept in a warehouse outside of London, and she will basically. Oh my goodness, It's on the beach in South England, and I cannot remember the name of it now. Sorry, guys. There it is. Falmouth. Falmouth. Like they are kept. It's a port city. They have a warehouse there that sometimes things come in that come over by road, not through the river. It's not very often that they take things by road, but sometimes things come in and that's just a good port. And they keep a small warehouse there, and there is a safe, and they're kept in the safe in the warehouse in Falmouth. With the idea being that if London burned again, because apparently that's a thing,
Hmm.
that it would be outside of the city and more secure that way.
And the building is secured against intrusions, I take it?
Yeah, it has 24-hour, 7-day a week security guards.
It,
And
is this a building they own, or do they contract it out?
they own it. They do have some warehouses that are contracted on occasion because they're usually like a short-term storage or short-term staging area, especially around the holidays. And I can't remember if Valentine's Day is a thing yet. I don't think it's a thing yet because I think that comes later. That becomes a big thing. But like Christmas time, they actually do enough business that they occasionally bring in or purchase some short-term leased warehouse space. It's usually for they're trying to politely put it, it's lower end jewelry that they sell for the holidays so that people can be like, "Oh, we bought stuff at, I got a present from the Royal Crown, right? Or the Royal Jewel, Crown Jewel, the Crown Jewel." So it makes you look good, but it's a more mass-produced esque item that they don't typically carry. It's just the holiday type of thing.
The Christmas special sort of thing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is the
Uh,
data transferred there by telegraphy, or is that done by physical records being taken
Physical
overland?
records. Apparently, Charlie wants it done by yes.
Telegraphy at this point.
Thank you. Yes. Charlie wants it done that way because it will be so much faster and it will actually save money because you won't have to keep it because Eddington insists that that is a secured with guards, armed guards process. And she's like, you wouldn't have to pay for the guards, you wouldn't have to pay for you know, the steam engine. It would be a lot cheaper to do it the other way. And she claims that it can be secure. He doesn't seem to.
It can be, but at this point they'd have to basically build the wires themselves, and yeah, that gets expensive.
Okay. Thank you guys for the information. I love you guys. So apparently, Valentine's Day was around in the 5th century, which is much earlier than I thought. In 1835, which would be 60 or so years ago, 60,000 Valentine's cards were sent by post in the United Kingdom, despite postage being expensive. Paper Valentines became more popular in the 19th century and assembled in factories. You guys are so smart. I love this. So, I love the history. I just do.
Oh, it's a historical
So,
game.
yeah, so with that all being said, they would also have temporary ones at Valentine's Day, near Valentine's Day, so February as well. "1868 seems to be the first instance of chocolates," which makes some sense because chocolates is a New World thing, because Kokaya. In the United States, the first mass-produced Valentines of embossed paper lace were produced and sold shortly after 1847 by Esther Howland of Worcester, Massachusetts. Her father operated a large book and stationery store, but Howland took her inspiration from an English Valentine she received from a business associate of her father. Intrigued with the idea of making similar Valentines, Howland began her business by importing paper lace and floral decorations from England. Go female industrial smart business lady. Heck yeah. So yes, so that would be a big one too. So both of those. You guys are so smart. So yes. Yeah, so there seems to be several disagreements between Charlie and Mr. Wright as far as the best ways of doing some of this. But they take it by it's a hired, supposedly secured steam coach with guards. So it's supposed to be like an armored steam coach with guards, and taken to a building that they own that has guards 24/7. Now, I will say there's probably only 2 guards at any given time, but they've never had any major trouble there. They've had some punks doing some graffiti type of thing. Um, 10, 15 years ago, somebody tried to break into it. They had knocked out one guard. The other guard went to get the police. The guy got in, but it's in a giant safe and he couldn't get into the damn safe. So no real harm, no real loss.
All right.
So it's fairly
so
secure.
well, and the facility is proprietary info, so
Yeah.
so that's not going to be easily determined. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and then for the telephony lines, do those transmit orders like directly out to the vendors? You said, or is that's still
So
in process?
they've got some of it, but not all of it. They've got some I can't say that word today. Lines. They've got some lines to a few of the vendors. Mostly the metal vendors because stones they're very picky about, and just because someone has a say a vein of emeralds doesn't mean that those emeralds are to the quality that they want. So they're still very dependent on an actual person going, inspecting, and making those purchases and then having them secured. But metal is a lot easier because you can make the metal more pure if you need to, if that makes sense.
Well, in metal, you can more mass order.
Yeah. You know you're going to need gold. So you go and you buy gold. Much different than if it's 18 karat gold, you just get rid of the impurities more versus say 10. Versus do you know if they want an emerald or a ruby? Like that the stones are a lot more
Individual.
finicky until and unless you're looking at getting stuff together for holidays. And then that they have lines to a couple of factories because those are mass produced items. And they actually one of the places that is mass produced at is in London and they have a line to it because they don't waste their jewelers' times on those. That's a mass produced item that's specially made for their company for whichever holiday, but it's not made in house. If that makes sense. And they've got one in Cambridge that they have a line to, and they have one that's inside London. That between the two, mass produce the items.
That is a question for the what's being stolen. Is this mostly finished goods, or as most of this materials?
Nope, it's materials. Basically, what's happening is that the materials that are being brought in from ship to the London docks, and then supposed to be going to the London warehouse, or from the London warehouse to the storefront, is where things are getting stolen.
Has there been any correlation we've been able to see yet between the orders that are transmitted? Does it seem like it's mostly stones getting hit, or is it mostly metals?
So there's been 2 hits. One was metal, one was stones. And one was specifically from the warehouse, from the docks to the warehouse, and one was from the warehouse to the store. And all of the guards that were with it, like the first one, they've never had a major issue. They do keep armed guards with it, but there's only maybe 2 armed guards, because it's not a very, it was a box of stones. So it's not a very big thing, and they try to kind of like blend in and not look like, hi, we're carrying something expensive, right? And they take it from the docks off the ship to the warehouse, and somehow, some way, they're both dead and the stones are gone. The second one, bigger, heavier, because it was gold. It was in a steam coach. There was 4 guys with it, because there was a driver, 3 guards and a driver. For some reason, the steam coach was stopped. All of them were killed. The gold was taken before it hit the store. And it was an early morning, because they want that delivery not while business hours. So this would have been 6, 7 in the morning. Whereas the other one was possibly, I think it was in the evening. And why Eddington specifically is positive that it is that there is somebody leaking the information from inside, because who else would know what to look for on 2 guys walking off of a ship? You know what I mean? And as far as the other one, again, who knows that that's when they have the deliveries? The deliveries are not every Tuesday at 7 a.m. Does that make sense?
Right, so there's not really a schedule for deliveries that are done.
Right. They're individual, as needed type of things, if they're not, there's some periods of time where you don't always sell quite as much, and so they don't bring in as much gold, right? For someone to know that that's when the gold would probably be easier than the gems. But the gems, because they're basically being handpicked, right? There's no schedule for that. Let alone no schedule, and it's 2 guys who are specifically trying to look like just guys. Not in some armored vehicle or anything like that. Who are just going from the docks to a warehouse a few blocks away. Which is why he's absolutely convinced somebody from the inside knows.
Were these orders put in through the engine, or?
Yes.
So they both were, the stones and?
Yes.
Okay.
Because for at least the last 3 months, they've been trying to move, because Charlie's been pushing that everything goes through the engine. Those would be in the last, because they've been in the last month or so, all of the ones in the last month have definitely gone through the machine.
But the stones order did not transmit out through the telephony lines, correct?
No.
Okay. So
You are correct. Sorry. You are correct. No, they did not go out through the lines.
Okay, so the
Not
telephony lines is probably not.
Well, the gold one could have. The gold one could have. The gem one did not. Because they don't have any telepathy line for the gem ones. The gold one, 50-50 shot on with it. I'll tell you. I'll roll
right, but so it probably wasn't on the receiving end where something got intercepted, is my line of thinking.
Probably not, no.
Okay. So that answers that question. Is there security in place for the telephony lines just to look for monitoring?
Not really. Charlie wants more done with that, but most of her budget has been going to getting the archives up. And again, there seems to be some. Now, I guess with all of this, Eddington is thinking that maybe he was wrong.
Does your system
And
take in
that needs to be-
any incoming traffic from the telephony lines? Or is it
Yes. From a couple of the where they get gold from. They have a back and forth between some of the places they get gold from, where it's like, hey, we need, send X amount, and they'll be like sending that, and they'll give an idea of like which boat, so that they know what to look for. Because on the gold, the shipper secures it till it gets on the ship, and it's supposed to be under a licensed insured ship, so it should be fine on the ship. And then they're responsible from the ship to the store. So they have to know when the ship comes in, because as soon as it touches dock, they're now responsible for it.
Okay, so that does come back then. How often do the engine systems get purged for like intrusion software and that sort of thing?
As far as looking to see if anybody's intruded, like an outside source tried to intrude.
Yes, well, and then you'd also just like purge any actively running software, just in case somebody did implant something in the engine.
Oh, like if there's a Trojan in there or something.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Monthly.
Has that been done in between when these orders occurred?
Yes.
Okay. So if someone was implanting, they would have to have access to the machine to have done it again in between with these orders.
Yes.
Okay.
Of which Charlie is convinced that no one can just get into her machine. She has security, safety, firewalls, whatever the translations are.
You have active software searching for intrusions?
She says she does.
Okay.
Whether that's any good or not, but she says she does. By the way, Charlie knows more about this than I do. So.
Right, no, I'm figuring. The fact that she's thinking of that puts her ahead of a lot of the people of this with this day and age. So, because this is all still fairly new.
But she also thinks that she can secure the telepathy lines. Yeah.
Well, you can secure them on the inbound side, not necessarily on the outbound side. I mean, you can secure and scan what traffic comes into your engine. Once it leaves, somebody could tap the lines. There could be an intrusion on the recipient's end. That sort of thing.
Yes, but if you secure their stuff as well. So she goes off onto this tirade about that if she was then allowed to go to the companies that we work with, because it's limited companies that we work with, and basically put the system in that they should use to talk to ours. So it's basically still all in-house. Like they aren't to use it to talk to anybody else. It's simply to talk to ours. Then they should be able to then monitor it. But that would cost more money because she'd have to travel to those areas and set it all up and make sure that they know how to maintain it. And then she'd have to, have background checks on all those people. And then she'd have to travel, basically.
Well, and then basically you're trying to take over the security of another company you're working with.
Well, just for the machine that they use for hair. Like it would be like if you had a telephone, you only use the blue telephone when talking to them. You can have any other color telephone you want to talk to whoever else you want. But when you're talking to them, you only use the blue telephone.
Right.
But then, then she has travel expenses going all over these places. And he's like, what if they, fire somebody and hire somebody else in? Then she'd have to stop everything to go train and have that person checked into. And he's just like, that's a mess. And so they're actually kind of, I don't want...
They're still figuring out a lot of these. Yeah. Well, that's everybody at this point is still figuring all this out.
So, and what you have is a clash between Charlie, who thinks that this is the way of the world, right? This is the new horizon. And you have Eddington, who's just like, it's all a bunch of poppycock. I could have a piece of paper and just go get the piece of paper. So slightly different theories on life.
Oh yeah, understood. And just getting a feel for
And
where
Eddington
everything
is, I mean, not completely, because he does have the machine put in. He did hire her for security. He's just not sure that this is the way to spend the company's money. And he thinks that this whole trying to secure it on the other end is just not going to work, because you really can't control what the other company does. You can try to set this up, but if they do any number of things, it makes it not secure. And if both of the hits had been metal, he might have thought more that it was somebody breaking into the line and finding out what ship. But the one that was hit from the ships was gems, which there's no line for. And the metal wasn't hit right off the ship.
right,
It was hit
and
when it left the warehouse.
that's where my line of thinking is there as well.
So I mean, he's actually not stupid. He's not the most outgoingly brass, like he's not that much of an extrovert, really. Like he's a little bit more kind of calm, thoughtful person. Probably this is about as heated as you've seen him get, and it's not very heated.
Yeah.
He's kind of meek. He's kind of a meek guy. Any other questions for Charlie or for downstairs? And while you guys are, oh sorry, while you
I was
guys are
gonna say,
down
I
there,
think that covers
you
my
will
questions for
see,
Charlie, unless anybody else
you
has
will
more.
see people, you will see occasionally like lower, I don't want to say lower, the second row salespeople will come down there and occasionally like walk in, and you'll see someone or Charlie kind of nod at them, and then they will type somebody's name into a computer and you know, a engine, an analytical engine, and get information, and then scurry back upstairs.
Keeping an eye on that, then, does it look like they have like a security punch card when they're getting to that, or are they just able to walk up to the terminal?
They're able just to walk up to the terminal. They're basically checked that that's somebody who works here, that's somebody who should be checking a name, and they don't seem to think much past that. Like, there's somebody here, that person belongs here. Okay.
They don't have like a password that they have to enter or anything like that?
Doesn't seem to be.
I'll kind of keep an eye on that then, and I'll make mention to Charlie. Have you considered adding security punch cards for people to get terminal access?
You actually see this kind of exasperated look. I tried. They can't seem to keep that straight. They constantly forget it. It takes forever to get it re-unlocked for them. So I went to a system where basically after hours you have to have a password to get into it. Like the system locks down from, closing time till opening the next morning. So unless you are somebody who has a password, you cannot get into it between those hours. But basically, she seems to think that the sales staff is all, well, not all. And there's a bit of perception check.
You need me to roll one?
I need anybody down there to roll it.
Just straight perception or awareness?
Awareness works.
Okay.
If you have awareness on a perception, you can almost always do awareness.
Well, it's more,
Yeah.
is this I'm thinking of something or I'm noticing something?
Noticing. This is a seeing if you guys notice something.
I think I'm wherever the ledgers are.
That's a 15.
Oh, nice. when she backtracks to basically the all sales staff is irresponsible and can't keep track of security password things, there's a little bit of a look, because she backtracks from all of them to, well, most, and there's that look of somebody in the sales staff she likes. It's that momentary pause, slight wistful backtrack thing.
So without an access request during the day, you can't necessarily see who was accessing what data, but does it keep a log of when records were looked up?
That it does.
Have you pulled the logs prior to the incidents to see if they were, what times they were looked up?
Yes.
Anything unusual, or if you have the logs, we can take a look at them.
She can even get you the logs. The 2 hits were both looked up at a couple of different times. However, she seems to think that, don't want to mess up his name, Mark looked them up. And since Mark handles that, there's nothing odd with, because she's asked Mark, and Mark says he looked them up, because she's not always down here. And of course, by the time that they started to look at this, it's been a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, because it's been like 3 weeks since the first one and a week or so since the second hit, right? So she's she's asked Mark, did you go on these days and look at this? And Mark has basically said, yeah, he wanted to clarify something to make sure that security was in place. Which again proves that it is nothing to do with her machines. And she gets, it's that look over at Eddington.
Unless somebody's smart enough to be able to wipe the log file.
That's very possible.
Anybody like that seem to have that decent of knowledge that you've noticed?
She tries to very politely say that most of them are troglodytes.
Out of character, as somebody who works as a sysadmin for a bank, yes, I know what she's saying, so...
Look, she's trying to say it politely because she's in front of her boss, technically. But she basically seems to think that most of them, except for the few that are down here doing the feeding in, and most of those, in her humble-esque opinion, aren't as bright as she is, because she's had to train them to simply do the tasks that they're doing, which is mostly just feeding information in. But until her, the entire company just used Firestarter for all of their stuff. Anybody have any other questions about the basement level?
And please, other people ask other questions, because I know there was more.
Or any other levels, or any other questions about the building, or about the sales floor for Morgana and River? Any questions whatsoever?
I was just going to be poring through the ledgers and trying to find any discrepancies in them.
All right, you're going through the records for discrepancies. Roll your whatever you are using to do that.
I was going to suggest evidence analysis.
Sure, why not?
I can assist if you wish with some accountancy.
Okay.
More the merrier.
'Cause you guys have the because you guys have the ledgers. Actually, this would be probably a good time if there's no more questions for you guys to all meet up and share information with each other and go over the ledgers and the data records that she pulled. Unless you guys have a better idea, because I would say that would be a good time.
Only other thing I was curious, do they happen to have any blueprints of the building?
They do not, but I think you could. Did London keep records on that at this point? Because a lot of cities did.
I don't think so.
It would depend on the age of the building, I'm pretty sure.
This is a very old building.
Probably not then.
Although they may have needed to have blueprints for bringing in the engine, because that's a huge thing.
It is.
They may have had to move walls around and that sort of thing, or plan. I mean, if nothing else, they would have to have blueprints. Actually, no, they probably would need the full building because they need to know where all the load-bearing walls and everything are. So they may have had to have some retroactively created.
So, okay, yeah. Let's say you can get a hold of them then. That sounds fine.
Okay, yeah. How complete
He
they
doesn't
are.
have them, but you can get them.
How complete they are is another matter, but they should have them somewhere. I was just going to see if I could do an engineering check on there, just looking for any other oddities. We already had a couple of safes that they didn't know about, so just seeing if there's anything else I
I was
can
going to
happen to
say,
spot.
Eddington didn't know about the safe in Mark's office. And was there another one that he didn't know about, or was it just
Charlie's.
Charlie's? Yeah, he didn't know about the safes in Mark's or Charlie's.
But yeah, so if you don't mind if I just roll a civil engineering check, on we'll see what information is there.
And the accounting check also, because I know people are doing checks. Anybody else doing checks I should know about?
I mean, I could do a knowledge finance as well, but because I've also got knowledge law, but I've got 11 on the evidence analysis.
Knowledge finance. 2d8. That's not fantastic. Let's try it. Not bad.
Hey, it's better than my knowledge finance. Mine's only 2d6.
So that's
I have people to do
15.
finance.
Yeah.
Can I say I come from a family that moves money around a lot?
I also got 6 on the finance.
15 on the finance.
And go ahead and cover the finances first, but I got 11 on my civil engineering roll.
All right, so the ledgers. Let's see, a 6 and 11. On the 6, everything seems fine. On the 11, on the evidence analysis, it
It was
seems
a 15
fine. You have a 15. Okay, on the
on
15,
finances.
on
Yeah.
finance. Ooh, nice. On the 15 on finance, some of this isn't adding up as well as you think it should be adding up. You can't quite put your finger on it, but some of this is, it's that whole, you're looking at it and you're looking at it and you're like, yeah, wait, what? Hold on, flip back 4 pages, but, wait. Like you can't put your finger on it, but something is not quite adding up to you.
Does it look like something's missing, for example?
it's not so much that something is missing, it's that the numbers aren't hitting right. You might want
So
to think about it some more and look into it a little bit more. Maybe take some time on it.
I'll think about that for some time then. I mean,
Yeah,
it's just that things aren't adding up right,
yeah, it's
basically.
just like when you just kind of look at it, like when Augie August.
August.
When August looks at it, August is going on finance, going, okay, that looks fine. The evidence analysis, he's like, yeah, I mean, these look like records, and the numbers seem to be adding up, right? And then
Hmm.
when you're looking at it, you're like, wait, but it says here, and then you're flipping back, 5 pages, and like, but that now hold on, and you're just like, wait, this isn't quite. So you two can maybe put your heads together, do a little bit of prolonged looking at it, and see if you can untangle part of that.
I will, of course,
Um,
point these things out to August,
yes,
going back a
which
few
helps
pages.
August to relook because
Sure.
now you guys are kind of like, wait a minute. Um, all right, Jill's getting food. River, were you trying to do an investigation roll on anything in specific? I don't want to miss you.
I really don't have any skills for that.
Okay, that's fine. You can still look at stuff if you want. You never know. An intelligence check, you could just be like, "Hey, hold on." You never know. I mean, take it. Um, Brad, on the civil engineering, no, everything seems to be mostly, it's not perfect, but that stuff never is.
Hmm.
There's no room for like weird walk-ins, hidden rooms. I mean, you didn't quite see all of the goldsmith little cubby holes, but you saw enough of them that there's nothing odd with any of that. Some of the stuff you might not have noticed because you didn't spend a lot of time on the sales floor is like they've done a very good job of like hiding a break room, but it's not hidden on the blueprints. It's hidden from customers,
Right.
and hiding the staircase so that they go down to go and get information or go up. Like the staircase is kind of not in view. It's yeah. There's nothing.
You do that a lot in older Victorian and in
Yes,
pre-Victorian construction. The servants
especially
can
for
move
like
around the house without
servants
being
who move
seen.
without exactly. So this was very much designed with that type of thing in mind. Other than that, I mean, and that's not unusual for the age and the type of thing that they're trying to do. They want to look like a classy, place.
Right. Okay.
All right.
That was
Yeah,
mostly
no, it's
just a
actually really
check,
good.
not anything I was
No, it's a good
expecting to
check.
find.
No, it's a good check because what if there's another safe that nobody told you about or hidden secret entrances? I don't know.
Yeah.
A 20 on wow. Okay. What were you looking at?
Probably with the information that was brought about the uh,
The finances?
engines,
Sorry, about which one?
about the engines.
Oh, the engine stuff. Nothing is catching your eye. The only times that stuff was apparently brought up that you can see, she said Mark said he was looking at it. Again, without going into the actual system, because um, Brad's character, whose name is why am I bad at names today?
Nigel.
Oh, Nigel. Nigel had brought up, and I don't know if you would have heard, or he probably would have said something when you guys were all talking, that it is possible that someone has some sort of like Trojan horse in there, or had a way to wipe out that they looked. But if they wiped out how they looked, you wouldn't see it on the paper. But nothing in the papers everything seems to check out. Probably 90% of what people looked up, 95% was so and so, what type of stones do they like, it's customer information. There's been some looks into, the shipments and things like that, and that stuff seems to all be washed away with Charlie says that Mark said he went in on those days and double checked stuff.
Who's
With the
Mark's assistant?
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Mark's assistant? Did Mark have an assistant? I don't know that Mark has an assistant. Lucy is Mr. Wright's secretary. None of the other ones actually have a true secretary. Lucy actually technically kind of does all of their secretarial stuff. But she's Mr. Wright's secretary. But she kind of has to. It's kind of why she's in the middle. Oh, no, hold on. Yeah, no, it's why she's kind of in the middle.
I think the usual term they give for that is office manager, at least nowadays.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask were we given like the actual like printed log for the access? Because you said she was pulling that up. Is this like a formatted list, or is this just a pull from the log files? Because sometimes
It
that
is a
will.
pull from the log files.
Because sometimes that will have other. That like if it's basically just a readout of the data running from the engine. If there's any of that there, can I do an engine programming just to see if I spot anything else?
You can.
All right.
Charlie didn't seem to necessarily, as far as this goes, she gave you the actual, this is the log, which is a lot of paper work, if that makes sense, to dig through. But it's not like a recap of it. She's like, here's the logs.
Hang on. Yep, same thing. Got a 14 on that.
Nice. You're not seeing anything that looks like backspace. Nothing is coming up that this seems to be messed with.
All right.
On the finance people, those of you who are looking through that, do you guys want to, you're basically, we searched through it for a few more hours. What did we find? Did you guys want to take a second roll at those?
Sure. With the stuff in mind that we've found already.
Yeah. Like now you're like, wait a second, and now you're specifically kind of searching through this.
Do you want finance or evidence analysis again?
Finance would be better if you have it.
Okay.
If you don't have it, evidence analysis works, but finance would be much better on this.
11.
Because basically what you're kind of doing is you're doing, what do they call that now? Forensic accounting.
Yep. I know it well.
I don't have finance knowledge, but I have knowledge mathematics.
Sure.
Can I give it a look?
Absolutely.
And I'm going at it from the angle more not to see if the numbers add up, but more to see if there's a flaw in logic and how things are being applied.
And
was somebody's
you can absolutely
bad.
do that too. You're sitting back thinking through it. Yep, you can accidentally do that. Ooh, nice.
That was an 18.
Right. There does not seem to be any major flaws in the logic. Okay, so
1 + 1 = 11.
No. However, 1 + 1 with theoretical math can equal 1, which fucks with people, and I don't like to try to explain how that works. It is all theoretical math, and it is fucky. I don't actually like.
It's actually really easy to explain.
No, it's evil. There was somebody else who was also doing finance, and I want to get that roll in before I go to the etiquette one.
Yeah, I got 11 on it.
You got 11?
Yeah.
So
9.
11 and a 9. Something just isn't adding up for you guys. You can't put your finger on it. It's just
Why
not
not just
adding up.
Why not just ask? Like there's people who
can
do the
ask.
finances around here.
That what I was going to say. You can always find somebody who's basically an accountant and be like, why is this not working? You
Yes.
certainly can find an expert. Absolutely, you can do that. On etiquette. So, on etiquette. The main people you were kind of involved with were, one, Henry, the charming salesman. He's a little polished, which is not necessarily wrong or bad in a salesperson. Sarah, the lower clerk, seems to be particularly kind of almost smitten with him. There was that weird look with Hilda, who was one of the security people. She's one of the not dressed as security people, but you could tell she was security. You didn't like how she kind of looked at Sarah. And you weren't sure if this was a suspicious or a jealousy thing, but there's something about how Sarah interacted with Henry that got under Hilda's skin.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And there's just
Yeah, that makes sense.
with your 18, there's just something about it that just really gets the hairs on the back of your neck standing up.
So not just shop floor jealousy because he flirts with everybody.
He flirts with that. Yeah, that's it. Because he flirts with everybody, and nobody seems to have except Hilda.
And she would also be in a great position if she's security to be aware of all the shipments and aware of what security would be being put on shipments.
It would be very easy for her to, because since she's on security, she could easily overhear from other security people. Probably has ins with them, if nothing else. She also, now this one would be hard if it has to do with the analytical engine. Her being down there wouldn't blink for anybody, but her actually accessing the machine, that's an interesting question because she wouldn't be looking up customers. That's not what she does. So if she's accessing the machine, that could be questionable. But would she, has she accessed the machine? You could ask if anybody knows if she has. But that would be a question that you would think that they would even find questionable because 90% of what's on there is looking up customer information, and that's not something that she would do. But she would definitely have ins with everybody who's part of the security department. Like, I don't know if, you didn't ask if they have meetings, but if nothing else, you would think that the security would kind of talk to each other, lunch break together, that type of stuff. Or at least there would be nothing that would raise anybody's eyebrows if one security person talked to some other security, like, hey, so what's it like on the second floor? And thinking about trying to see if I can get, up there. Is it better? How's the pay? What about the security guards at the warehouse? You know what I mean? Like, nobody would think anything of maybe she's trying to move up in the company and ask questions. So, I mean, that's feasible.
So possibly it's, well,
what that
if
would
we're
have
having
to
a
do, sorry, what that would have to do with Henry, I don't know. But
if they were in it together, because he would be a lot less suspicious going and accessing things on the engine.
Absolutely would be, yes.
And would also be, if she is a suspicious type, it might not just be jealousy over Sarah. It might be, is she trying to get in on my action and get involved with that? Equally, it could be her and Sarah are the two people, because Sarah was sales as well, wasn't she?
Yeah, Sarah was in sales. She's what, and I guess saying that she's a lower sales clerk isn't maybe the right terminology. She's like a junior sales clerk. She doesn't get to talk to the bigwigs. She gets to run and grab the drinks and go grab information and feed it to the higher sales, unless it's the holiday season and then it's all hands on deck and they still don't give them the good and
Which would mean she'd have more reason to be seeking out extra income from somewhere outside and essentially less investment in the company to lose.
There's that. It would also mean that she's one of the ones that everyone expects to see on the computer.
Yes, yeah, because she'll do all the scut work for other people.
Yep. Not that I'm saying anybody in particular did any particular thing, but those are all interesting things and all very possibles. But I'm not telling you. Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
All right. Anybody else? That night, you guys brainstorm. You guys talk through all this. I'm assuming you guys share information about, yeah, this one was acting weird, and there's something wrong with the books.
Yeah, I mean, was there nobody like accounting-y around to talk to about that?
If you go back to the place, you can talk to Eddington or ask him, because there was somebody who was more in charge of the finances, I thought.
Yeah, I feel like Eddington would have an accountant.
He might have an outside accountant.
Why don't you ask the ghost?
You could ask the ghost.
Hey, ghost, what's up
Hey,
with these
ghost,
finances?
that's a whole thing.
But I don't know if I can talk to the ghost. Can I talk to the ghost?
You might. There are ways to talk to ghosts and or spirits. I don't know that you have them.
I do
You
not.
also could go to an outside accountant. You
Yes.
could go to an accounting firm and basically put that on the tab and be like,
That's
"Hi, I want to."
That's sorry, just the transition there. Go to the accountant and have them talk to the ghost.
Technically, not outside the realm of
I
possibility.
know, but that's the funny part.
But yes, you could, and if you can't talk to the ghost, that's another thing that you could outsource. You could find somebody who you could find a medium.
Yeah, a medium would be a good shout for that. Because I mean, I can see it, but I can't really
An
do much
oracle
about it. It's just
accountant,
sort of there.
yes. I think that River Lexi has an oracle accountant. That is what you're looking for. Put that in the newspaper. Dear sirs and madams, we are looking for an oracle accountant.
We are looking for an accountant who can see the future.
No,
Just think how
the dead. Let's be realistic. Nobody sees the future. We want an accountant who can speak to the dead.
Just think how useful it would be for sorting out will discrepancies and things like
Think
that.
about this though. Forensic accounting just hit a whole new level.
Yeah.
For that matter,
Okay,
lawyers.
so when, dear dead person, when you put this in your logbook, what did you mean by that? When you took this tax loop, how did? I'm just saying.
That
All
would
right.
be so useful. Just
Right?
don't. I am an accountant in the real world.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be so like, hey, dead person, what the hell was this? What is this?
Yeah.
Where does this come from? So think about things like some of the spells that are common and stuff like, speaking with the dead or zone of truth, that type of thing. So think about it for criminal investigations. Raise the dead. Hi, who the fuck killed you? Okay, it was your wife. Cool. Like, then you go to the wife. Did you kill him? Zone of truth. Yeah, I killed him. Like, no more accidental, we put the wrong person in prison shit. Like, it just raise the dead, zone of truth it, done.
That is the story of my first 1879 campaign in one paragraph.
Really?
Mediums break investigation, particularly when they have the ability to go to the location where the crime was and look back over the last 3 days to work out what happened.
Exactly.
I think I still managed to challenge them, but boy, did it cut down on the investigation time.
The worst I've ever seen, it was an L5R campaign. Now keep in mind L5R is feudal Japan style. We were told by, the Emerald Throne, the Emperor, the Emerald Emperor, to get rid of the bad people who are up to no good in this village, right? And us as players looked at each other, thought about it for about 2 seconds, burn it all. Anybody who ran out, we killed. We slaughtered the entire village. We just burned them all to the ground. Therefore, there are no people in that village who are bad people anymore. Right? And it's feudal Japan, so it's perfectly okay technically for samurais to do this. Like, somebody might be mad and you might owe some pittance because you killed their workers, but perfectly okay culturally, right? And the GM was pissed as hell. Apparently, we were supposed to do all this investigation and ask all these questions, and instead, we just 30 minutes later slaughtered everybody and done. Next.
Muckle darned cult, Arian Humblies be keeping me wee men.
So I, as a player, heard that the ref wants us to change tactics in all our investigations for this campaign.
Yeah, no. I mean, you can, but I don't know that burning everything to the ground will actually fix this problem.
You would be surprised at how many problems fire solves.
It is Plan Z.
Hey,
It's
if the
fancy.
jewelry firm burns to the ground, nobody's robbing from them.
That
It's
is
true.
true. However, yeah, this other, it was a para at the school, and we were talking about she was having some issues. And I'm like, well, there's always Plan Z, and she's like, what's Plan Z? And I'm like, fire. When all else fails, and you've gone through A, B, C, D all the way to Z, just torch the fucking thing, burn it, scorched earth, everything goes. And she just starts laughing. It didn't fix her problems, but it made her laugh. So hey, there's always
It-
Plan Z. Burn it.
Andy, that's Plan Y. Plan Z is summon Cthulhu.
I don't have the
No.
ability to summon Cthulhu, but I can torch a bitch. So
Yeah, no, that is not a good plan. It's-
I mean, it's probably technically worse than fire, but fire was not necessarily a good plan either. So I'm not knocking it. I just don't have the ability to do it. So
Anyway, I don't think we've quite gotten to that extreme yet.
not yet. So you do have a couple options. You can go to outside. Is there anything else that night you kind of want to do? Do you want to go straight to Eddington and ask him, "Hi, what's with the books?" It is up to you guys. Yes, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
I just wonder
Very
what.
true. For
I
those
just.
wondering if they're listening, that was somebody typed it. I read the typey thing.
Ah, right. I see. Yeah, I was just wondering. Do you really think that Eddington would even know what's in his books? He just knows that money comes out the other end.
Okay. Are you asking them or are you asking me? Because as a GM, I would say you don't know if he knows. But so far from what you've seen, it would lead you to exactly what you just said, which is he probably would not know. Especially since you two have looked it over and didn't even hardly catch it. And then when you did catch that something's off, you're still not totally sure what's off. So whether Eddington, because he could, but nothing about this makes you think that he would. I would say.
Right. So we just have to ask him who does his books.
Yeah, I mean you can do that.
So
Oh.
let's
We already
do
know
that.
Mark takes care of that.
What does he?
Sorry,
Well,
what?
then,
You,
was
you've
that?
talked you've talked about how Mark basically runs the company.
I have mentioned things like that. There is a very good chance that Mark handles most of the books.
maybe we should go and have a frank chat with Mark.
Well, who's Frank?
Yeah, that's
I love you, Brad.
yeah.
My revolver.
I could hear Andy thinking it.
What? I do like a good dad joke.
My revolver.
If you're Frank, can I be Dean?
Hell yeah, why not? All right. Do you guys want to try to talk to him tomorrow? Because it's late at this point. You guys have been going over books and all that shit for a few hours. He might not
Could
even be here anymore. Probably isn't because it's fairly late.
yeah. Could do. Talk to him tomorrow.
Again, do you want to talk to him? Do you want to find an outside person? Those are both options on the table easily, unless you guys think of third options, which players always do.
Why
But those
not
are all
both?
viable. Why not both? So, what do you guys
What?
want? Anybody doing anything else that night that I should know about?
Why don't we do this? So when we go in the morning, you guys can go. Since you guys did the accounting stuff and were spotting stuff, you can go speak with them there. Why don't we take the copies that we found? Let's check at the office, because I'm sure, being this is an investigation office, they probably have consultants for things. So, if there's an accounting firm that they consult with to look into these things.
Yeah.
So, the next morning, part of you are going to go talk to Mark, and part of you are going to take the books that you have to the office and say, hey, who do we have that can do this? Because surely you have somebody. Which makes a lot of sense. Is that what I'm hearing?
Mm-hmm. That makes the most sense, yeah. To me,
Alright,
anyway.
Works for me.
Who's going where? And is anybody doing anything outside of those two things in the morning? Okay, so who's going where? Sounds like August and
Weymont.
Weymont.
yeah, are gonna
Weymont.
definitely be going to Mark. Anybody else going with them to Mark?
Probably not, since I'm supposed to be a customer.
Okay. And so Nigel, Morgana, and River are going to your office to say, hey, do we have somebody who does this?
Yep.
Perfect. Which side wants to go first? Let's go. I think the Mark side should go first.
Okay. Let's go and ask him about the books.
Good
Okay.
with me.
So you guys go around to the back. You go up. You have to be kind of buzzed in. You saw this before. And then they unlock the area so you can go up to the 3rd floor where Mark's office is. Lucy seems to be pretty busy typing at something. She'll look up. Can I help you? She recognizes you, but she doesn't know what you want, just middle of typing.
Good morning, dear lady. We're looking to talk to Mark about your accounts.
Oh, he's in the office. Let me see if he's available. And she'll, kind of like pick up, because they would have like a intercom type of phone type of where they can pick it up and talk into that room, right? Brad? Yes, no? Not yet.
Maybe.
Maybe. Probably not.
Probably not
He's
like
a
an intercom.
technophobe anyhow.
They'd probably just have like a buzzer or a little bell, and then.
Yeah, it's probably a buzzer or a little bell where they like hit a thing and it rings like a little bell in there, and if he rings it back, it's a yes. If he doesn't ring it back, it's a no. So then she'll go and she'll open up the door and she'll be like, "Would you guys like any coffee, tea?"
Some tea would be lovely, thank you.
And she will very kind of quickly go, "Mark is he's kind of a solid looking guy. He almost has the look of someone who may have been in the military when he was younger, but he still has that kind of straight back, straight shoulders back, you know, muscular build, even though he's got to be in his 50s, possibly a very well preserved 60s, but he's human, still human, hadn't changed. And he's got a little bit of silver at the temples, some crow's feet, which help with that look of age, but at the same time, he's still very kind of active looking. So it's kind of hard to totally pin an age on him, but he's definitely 50s ish. Please have a seat. Eddington told me that the insurance company hired some consultants.
Yes. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Sorry I wasn't here yesterday. I wasn't informed that you had been hired until after I got back to the office.
Oh, not to worry, not to worry. My name is Weymont.
And I'm August.
Pleased to meet you. I'm Mr. Johnson. About this time, Lucy comes in with the cart, and of course, there's the kind of pause while she's, cream, sugar, 1 lump, 2, and then she, is out about as quickly as she arrived. And he kind of, sits and, what can I help you with?
Well, we were going over your accounts the other day, in your ledgers here, and something's not quite right with the numbers. Something was sticking out at me, and I was just wondering if you could talk it over with us.
So he just kind of looks, and it's that look of you're a college freshman and this is a veteran doctorate teacher. and you just try to tell him that he made a mistake grading your paper. It's that look. You think something's wrong with my ledgers. And how long have you been handling major corporate finances?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hmm.
I have been going over accounts for quite some time, but
Really?
I have not.
I believe I've had colds that have been around longer than you, but sure, I see. Yes.
Oh, well, that was rather uncalled for. I'm merely
Mm.
asking you
I
to.
believe saying that there's something wrong with my ledgers is also uncalled for. There is absolutely nothing wrong with my ledgers.
Very
I've been
well.
doing this longer than you've been alive.
Very well. If that's the case, then you wouldn't mind explaining some of these numbers to me.
All right. What do you want to use to see if you can tell whether he's telling you the truth? You can try finance because see if what he's saying makes sense. That one's an easy one. Or if you have something else.
Could do
I've got a
finance, could do etiquette.
Yeah, whatever works for you guys. Just let me know what you're using and what your
I've got
numbers are.
empathic sense.
Empathic sense. That's an interesting one. What exactly does empathic sense do, and what are the rules on that? Is that like a versus will, or versus like
It's versus social defense,
versus social defense?
and it gives you an idea of their emotional state during the while. Mechanically, each success gives you a bonus to social interaction type tests with the target.
Ah, this is fun. I like this. Roll that. Yeah.
I can't promise anything because the last time he tried talking to somebody, it didn't go very well. But we'll give it a
That's
go.
okay. This is one of those. Sometimes, even if it doesn't quote unquote go well, it doesn't mean it wasn't fun.
Oh no, absolutely.
It's what I love about stories.
It's definitely the correct skill for detecting if somebody is being dubious or dodgy or guilty about something, and
Right?
telling the difference between guilt and not guilt at somebody spotting his accounts discrepancy, and annoyed at someone suggesting there's a discrepancy in his accounts.
Yeah, I like it. This is a smart choice. I like it. What do you got?
6 on step
6.
9 plus karma.
9
Ouch.
with karma.
Yeah, ouch.
He's definitely annoyed. Like you are feeling that annoyed right strong.
Okay.
And what are you using?
Well, I guess I'll just go with my accountancy skills since I've got the best
Okay.
dice there. But because I could use etiquette, but I've only got 2e6 for that. That said, I don't know. I could spend karma on etiquette. Maybe. No, it's not a karma based skill. So yeah. Right. Okay, that's not terrible. Okay, 15, 21.
Oh, nice.
Not terrible.
Well, it's
So
because I got an 8 in one of the rules.
the
Nice.
what he says makes sense, except it doesn't. Much like the numbers, it's that veneer of yes, yes, yes. Wait, hold on. But flip. Right here, that's not what that says. That says this.
Right. So I'll be doing that. I'll be playing
Yeah,
that up very
you start
much.
doing that. You start doing that, and like the annoyance starts to really like you could like the vein, on the that vein like near your temple is kind of popping, and he basically shuts the ledger. You obviously don't know what you're talking about, and I am not here to educate you on it.
I wasn't asking for an education. I was asking
Actually,
for an explanation.
what I would like is actually a what is your guys's social defense?
Social defense.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you that presently. My social defense is 9.
Same.
9. Yeah,
Mhm.
you have this feeling like how dare you? Like it's you feel like how dare you? Like you shouldn't have questioned him, and it's not your place. And it's you. And part of you's like, wait a minute, that's exactly my job. And part of you's like, how dare I question this man? Like he's just kind of eluding the sense of I outrank you. I am, older, wiser. And there's just this kind of blinky moment where you're like, what the I should leave. How dare I do this? And then you're like, but wait, I'm actually being paid to do this. And it's very conflicting inside both of you.
I will glance at August, and then back to the guy.
And he's just staring you down.
Well,
Like, have you, because you teach, and I think you said high school. Have you
yes,
ever had a kid who just is like damn near up in your face and you literally are just staring them down until they back off?
yes, that I know.
That is that look. Like, literally, that is the look you're getting. You're getting the look of you will go, you have passed your time, you have faux pod, you will leave. And he's just not, it's not even a blink for him. Like, it also leads back to that feeling that he might have been military at some point. This is an almost drill sergeant staring you down like, I said I was done. You may leave.
August will have obviously caught Weymont looking, and he will also turn back to Mark and say, "Good sir, I appreciate that you are very angry, but we do have a job to do here. We were brought in for a reason, and I'm sorry if that upsets you."
I've lost 6 people in the last month. I've lost no one in all of my years with this company. Actually, running this company. I am also trying to do my job.
Right.
And I do not have any time for your ridiculousness. We're done.
Very well. If we're done and you find this ridiculous, we'll have someone else look it over. Thank you for your time. We'll see ourselves out.
Perception, awareness from the two of you.
Awareness.
Awareness, yeah.
Yeah,
11.
you have it. Always, always. 11.
Mm-hmm.
13.
13. On the 13, you definitely see a tightening at the mention of we'll have someone else look at it.
Okay. I will bear that in mind and mention it to Weymont later.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Popping back over. The other 3 of you guys go to the office. Miss Price is in. She very much is like, why, actually, yes, I do know someone who could help with that. And she will give you a name and an address and just basically tell you to use one of the cards. And she might even have some cards with some of your names on them. Like, maybe not a lot because they're just being printed, but you guys are now getting like your own individual, like with my name on card.
Ooh, calling cards for business. How exciting.
Right? But she'll give you a name and address, and if you leave the card, it'll be put on an expense account. But she swears that the lady's very good.
Wonderful.
Slightly odd, but very good.
One other one, out of curiosity.
Sure.
While we were looking around, there appears to be a spirit in the building. Do we have any consultants that might be able to converse on the other plane?
And she just kind of blinks a little and goes, "Oh my." So when I said that Marjorie is a little odd, she is. But James is beyond a little odd. As long as you don't mind that he's quite eccentric, yes. But I do mean quite eccentric.
As tends to happen in that line of work.
I believe that, yes, the line of work has not helped in the least. And she will get out a piece of paper, and she will handwrite out another name and an address.
Perfect. I think we should go visit our accountant first, but we may want to get back together to visit James, was it?
Yeah.
Yes, having Weymont along to help discuss the magical along with yourself would probably be useful. I'm not sure I could tell the difference between actual magic and stage performance.
Well, we can plan on calling there after lunch. Anyway, let's carry on.
And there is no last name on James. But there's the address. It's James and an address, and again, leave the calling card. So you go to see Marjorie. The address isn't to a office building. It's to what looks like a just like an apartment building, and it's actually the basement apartment, so it has its own entrance, but you go down like a half a flight of stairs to get down to it, type of thing. And there's lots of plants which are almost all dead. Like somebody took the time to, pot the plants and put them in pretty little planters and, even hook some onto like the rail to keep people from falling into the staircase, right? But they're half dead to mostly dead.
Well, finding time to water them is harder.
You knock on the door?
Yes.
Who's there?
We're from the Notitia Office of Private Inquiry.
Prove it.
Is the door being opened, or is
There's
this like a slit? Or...
No, there's like a slot opens up, which is actually like a mail slot.
Okay.
I'll pass through one of my cards.
Yep.
I trust this would suffice.
We were sent by Miss
Unless-
Price.
Okay, one moment, and you hear like 7 locks unlock. And inside is, well, papers. So many papers. And not like newspapers. All of them seem to have numbers on them in ledgery type of things. And this little old lady who's got to be 108, I don't know. Like, she's this very little old wrinkled lady. And she has a very strong German-esque accent, even though her name is French. And she waves you in. There is no place really for you guys to sit. There's like one empty chair that she can sit at, but everything else is just papers. This is a hoarding fire hazard if you've ever seen one.
I shall rest on my parasol.
She locks every one of those 7 locks again. And you'll notice that she has a step ladder near the door because they're too high for her to reach without the step ladder. Some of the top ones, right?
Does it look
And
like
then
she's dwarven, or is she just that tiny?
You're not totally sure. It's honestly not an easy, right? Like, and it's weird because asking that can be seen as not totally polite. So
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't going to ask that out loud. I'm just
right, but
just
it is
observations.
a very solid question, and you can't really tell. Like,
Ironically, it's good to bring up someone's height.
and she, kind of waddle, almost limp, not quite limps back, and then climbs up into the chair. then just kind of stares at you guys as if waiting for. And if you pause too long, she's, well, don't take all day. What is it?
We have some accounts that we believe have some discrepancy in it. We were told you're an expert in such things and would like you to have a look over them for us, please. We can
So she takes.
see there is something up with them, but we can't quite place where the problem is.
And starts kind of stacking them to the point where, like, she can barely reach. Now, most of you guys can see over them because she's really short. But to the point she can barely reach until she clears off enough space that you can put the ledger down, or the ledger down, right?
Yeah.
And she starts going over it. She doesn't offer you tea. She doesn't try to find a place for you to sit. She doesn't speak to you. It is damn near uncomfortable as this takes time.
This is one where I think we just kind of let her go.
So, if you guys ask questions or want or try to talk to her or ask anything, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that you guys are just uncomfortably standing there.
I was going to presume that if we asked any questions, she'd just tut us and carry on, but she just seems that sort.
You could try. And it probably is 3-4 hours. And then she closes the book. You have an embezzler. And just like shoves it back as if that was all the answers you needed.
For how long?
Well, this book only goes back to the last 2 years. But my guess, because it's actually rather good, is longer. Because to get all the business records would be like way bigger than you guys could just lug around.
Thank you, my dear lady. That.
Could you possibly mark some specific keys? We'll need to confront on this, of course.
And there's almost like a sigh, as if she really seems to have thought she just answered the universe to you, right? And she puts the book back down, and she opens it back up, and then she looks at her table, and she gets out of the chair, which is almost, because she's short, it's almost like a little hop down damn near, and she kind of hobbles somewhere else in the back, and she comes back with this wad of inks and quills. And she starts marking it. Now this takes, again, you guys are there for another probably hour. But you'll notice that she's marking it in different colors. And she's very careful that after she marks something that the ink is dry before she turns pages. And then she shoves it back at you, as if yet again she's now answered all of your questions.
I believe this should be sufficient. Thank you very much for your time. Is there anything we can offer for you in exchange?
I'll bill. I'm very good at billing.
Of course.
I'm sure you are.
And she'll hobble back through the very tight space where she has to almost squeeze around you guys to not touch the papers so they don't fall. And she unlocks the 7 locks. And she stays up on the thing. And then the last one closes the door. I don't have to climb up and down twice that way.
Of course we shall. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time, my dear.
Yeah, this is
No,
one
thank
where...
you. No
okay.
goodbye. The last one closes the door so I don't have to climb up and down twice. And as soon as whoever it is that's last closed this door, you hear lock, 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 lock. Step down, lock, lock. And you now have a ledger that is marked with several different colors of ink.
That works for me. Let's bring this back.
You want to go back and meet up with the other two?
Yeah, I think
Or do you wanna-
I figure we probably would have made plans to meet for lunch and go over what we found.
And I, for one, could do with a little bit of a sit down.
Yes.
You've been standing for like 5 hours.
Oh yeah.
Completely
figured-
understand.
By the time you have gotten over there and walked over to it and then walk back. Even if you take a trolley or something for the longer bit of it, yeah, you've been up on your feet for like 5 hours. No
I
tea, no nothing. Just
I
stand
think
there
I'm
and
going to
hope
invest in a
something.
good hit flask. It seems wise if this is going to keep happening to us.
Well, most of the places have offered tea. Not her. So,
Best to be
you guys,
prepared for bad circumstances.
all right, you guys meet up, tell each other what happened.
I'm just going to copy her attitude and say, we have an embezzler, and hand over the books.
Make them look at it and figure out what the fuck.
They're the finance people. Here you go.
Anybody acting
You
suspicious
know,
during your visit?
I somewhat suspected that might be the case.
It's kind of got there.
Yeah, our friend Mark is rather a boor, I have to say.
Yeah.
But does that necessarily have anything to do with the thefts?
Well, that is the
I think he
question, but I was
knows.
hoping we could take a look together and see what we find.
All right,
I think
finance.
he knows and is covering it up.
Oh.
Because any too much investigation would show even if he's not directly involved, he may be covering things up, and too much attention would hurt his obfuscation.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm quite certain that there is some. I was quite certain there was something wrong with the books, whereas Mark was adamant that that there was not. But I see now that there absolutely is. So that makes him a prime candidate for, as a suspect for embezzlement. But nonetheless, even if this has nothing to do with the thefts in general, it can't help matters.
Let's.
Do those of you at finance want to check over the books to see what it is marked at? I just want to
I
know if
will
you guys.
do this thing.
Yeah, give it a look and see if it relates to anything we're looking at. Let's see if we
I
have.
got a 9.
Let's see if we have two things going on.
Oh, that's a 6 on a d6.
Ho ho!
11.
Nice. And what was the other roll? Do we have it yet? Did I miss it?
Was it 6?
Yeah, it was 9. 9. 9
9.
was the other one.
Oh,
9
9,
and 11.
sorry.
Yeah. Actually, in a way, the color marking made this really easy for you to connect the dots. And it is fairly well hidden. But basically, there are shipments, or at least, basically, there are shipments that part of the shipments have completely disappeared from the inventory and are never sold. So, like, it's come in, but it's never gone to the floor or been sold. And it's never like a whole shipment, it's always little pieces of. So, like, if I bring in, say, I paid, for easy numbers, $10,000 for piece parts that I'm going to put together and I'm going to then sell for, say, $100,000, right? Somehow that $10,000 only brought in 75,000 instead of the 100,000.
So
But
it's as if.
everything, it's like they're either stealing it on the either he's stealing it before it ever hits the floor, or some of those sales never hit the books.
I think perhaps that this might have some relation to our current dilemma.
And if it hasn't, we've solved another problem. Surely that means we get to charge them twice.
Now, I did let slip mention that we were going to have the books looked over by someone else. That was a mistake on my part, perhaps.
We're just very efficient. He won't be expecting it this quickly.
Yes, well, I do wonder how he's going to act now that he knows that we're doing that, because someone who is an official chartered accountant would absolutely be able to spot this.
And again, actually, they'd have to be somewhat good. Like, he's done it because it's just skimming. It's not quite there was wasn't technically labeled a theft because at the time it wasn't, laws hadn't caught up. Basically what the company was doing is, you know how like the gas stations, at least here, they'll charge it's you know $4.19.99 or whatever. You know,
Yeah,
and
he's
like
basically
who
skimming off
has nine
fractions.
tens? Yeah. So it's just that they're but basically what they did is they took like that half a penny to a penny, which we don't
He's
have a half a penny, and but you add them all up and it's actually quite a bit.
he's
He's
pulling an Office Space.
yeah,
I was gonna say he's pulling an entrapment, but
kind of, yeah. But basically he's done a very good job of, it's just enough that it slowly adds up over time and becomes something. Where did Hello? Did I lose everyone?
No, you're still
no,
there.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
My computer
Oh, he's still
blinked
here.
as if it went away, and I was like, wait, why are all my screens black? Okay. But yeah, he's actually done a really good job, which is why, like, she's having to mark so that you're like, wait a minute, but then if I, where did that little bit go? And if you just that little bit, and if you averaged it out, let's say he's made a fortune if he's been doing this, but you don't know how long he's been doing it. You know that at least for the year and a half, 2 years that these ledgers show, it's been going on.
Right.
The
And
question though is there
there
any?
is the chance that technically he could just be an asshole, and that it's not actually him. I mean, that is a chance. I'm not saying that it's not, but pretty sure.
His reaction will be very telling if we show this to him.
I would say yeah, his reaction's pretty telling. But there's a chance. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's not really any doubt. But
So
yes, it's
the
actually
question,
really well done.
the question though is that is there any correlation between this and the current thefts?
That I'm thinking there's not, because if he's had this scheme going on for this long and he's taken this much effort to hide it, this is honestly probably causing issues for him because it's bringing attention. This would be the last thing he would want.
Indeed. So perhaps someone else has discovered this and he's rubbed them the wrong way. Too early to tell.
It wasn't clear from your comments about him. Is he the sort you think rubs people the wrong way a lot?
He got
He was a
very
dissing-
angry very quickly.
Judging by your expression, I'm assuming you rubbed him the wrong way.
Yes, he is a very disagreeable gentleman. He's very sure of his own abilities, and indeed his ability to not get caught.
I think he's a very proud man.
He seems to be a very skilled accountant. I would say good, but I'm not sure that word covers this.
Well, nonetheless, it's something that we can bring to the attention. Well, who would we bring this to the attention of anyway? He's basically in charge of the company.
Our superiors?
I suppose.
Eddington. I mean, it's his
And
company.
his superiors, yes.
The actual owner of the company.
I suppose there is Eddington. I just wonder if he'd be able to actually do anything. Well, look, we can talk to him about it.
Although this doesn't necessarily correct the current dilemma.
No, it doesn't necessarily fix his problem, but it does fix one of his problems.
I'm thinking we go at this from a slightly different angle, at least to get things running. Because we have the evidence here. But again, this is probably the last thing he would want bringing attention. So he's most likely looking for the culprit for the thefts from the inside. He might have some additional insights for us.
So you think we should use this to get him to help us find the culprits?
That's what I'm thinking. And we can always bring it forward later.
Is that technically blackmail?
In a roundabout way.
Coercion. And we don't necessarily have to let him know what we know. We can let him know that we are having the books analyzed. There seem to be some discrepancies that are cause for concern, but that seem unrelated to the current thefts.
I don't think he's going to take that well. You haven't met the man.
No, granted, but we could always play it as it's still being analyzed. If he can help us resolve the current dilemma, we would have no further need to continue analyzing.
I think it was August who said he's a very proud man.
Mm-hmm.
And August
It
is
was.
very spot on with that. That's all I'm going to say is that August is very spot on that Mark is a very proud man.
His pride may get in the way of him actually helping us.
Possible. Depends on how we spit it.
There you go.
But regardless, before we get to that point, while we were at the office, Miss Price did also give us another reference that I think we would all want to go visit, Weymont, you in particular. We got a reference for a medium to perhaps ask about the spirit you saw in the office.
Oh, well, do you think that the company would be all right with us bringing a medium along with us to talk to the spirit?
Well, I think it would be worthwhile to at least consult with the medium to see.
I mean, Miss Price gave you the name. I doubt that she would do that if she would have a problem with it. I mean, that would seem... If she didn't want you to see a medium or bring one in, she probably wouldn't have given you one to go to.
Talking about the crown jewels.
Sorry, what?
If the crown jewels would object to
Oh,
a
that
medium.
company. Wrong company.
The
I
medium
don't
may
know
not
that they
necessarily
totally
even
have-
need to come into the building.
Well, but there's also I don't know that they totally have complete say on that. You guys are in part also hired by the insurance company. Like, Eddington is kind of your boss, but the insurance company is also kind of your boss. So, yeah.
I thought that was a cover for why we were going in.
Yes and no. They're also footing part of the bill because it's
insurance doesn't want to keep paying out on the thefts.
Yeah. I mean, they're in a rough position. They make money off of the company, but not if they keep paying out. So they don't really want to lose the client because then they lose the income, but they don't want to have to pay out anymore either. So you guys are cheaper than, and if they're both basically going in together to get this solved, yeah. So it's kind of a cover, but it's not totally a cover. It's partially true.
Right, well,
And
let's go
sorry
and
if I
talk...
didn't make that totally clear from the beginning. Like, the insurance company is also involved in we don't want to keep paying this out. Eddington is also involved because his company, and he's absolutely convinced it's an inside job, and da-da-da-da-da. So.
Well, I still think it's worth going to speak with the medium, if nothing else, to get a consultation on the situation.
Right.
And we can make a determination from there.
That's fair. Let's go and speak with the medium then.
So you guys all go?
Yes, let's go.
And
let's go speak
in
to
this
James.
case, James has like a shop. It's not in the best of neighborhoods. It basically has all these symbols, which, for the most part, I don't think any of them would really make much sense to any of you guys. All over the glass that you can't totally see through because it's completely painted over. And it basically, on the door, just says medium. And you guys walk in? Do anything before you walk in? Just checking.
Oh, I thought we were going to the large.
Sorry, I thought you guys were going to the medium. Am I wrong?
Yes.
No, playing, medium large.
Oh.
That was a pun.
The largest.
It's only if it's a troll.
Sorry.
Yeah, the largest the trolley works in the place.
I
So
will
lame.
give
Who goes in?
Weymont
Who
a
goes
look
in first?
at gesturing towards the symbols. Anything making any sense?
The answer is probably no. I mean, some of them are symbols like that's an Eye of Ra. Okay, cool. So some of the symbols are actual symbols, but like some of them don't look like any symbol you've ever seen before, and none of them like fit together in any
It could just
real
be utter
sense.
nonsense.
Most of it seems to be absolute utter nonsense. I'm not even gonna make you roll for it. It's absolute utter nonsense. So who goes in first?
Hello,
River? Or was it August?
That was River.
River.
River? Okay, River, I need a oh my gosh, reflex, dexterity, dodge. If you have dodge, dodge works.
Avoid blow.
Avoid blow technically would work.
Danger sense.
Danger sense does not work. Which you'll understand why in a second.
Getting hit by a piece of cotton candy.
Close.
It's not
Closer than you think.
dangerous. It's not dangerous, but you
Not
should dodge
dangerous,
it.
but you might want to dodge.
Embarrassment is danger.
You are so very close, sir.
13.
13. You manage to pull your head back and close your eyes as basically a pinch full of salt is thrown in your face. The rest of you, after having like seen her kind of like jerk back before she gets it in her eyes, which stings but isn't gonna really hurt you, realize that you are getting basically dusted with salt as you come in.
Is seasoning really necessary?
What? No, I'm making sure you don't bring bad spirits in.
And this helps?
Well, of course. So James is from India, and he has a bit of an accent, which I will not even pretend I can do correctly, so imagine it in your head. He's wearing very colorful garb that looks like some sort of cross between traditional Indian and something somebody would have seen in a drawing of gypsies, Romanians, or whatever the correct terminology is, right? It looks like some weird cross, like much like the nonsense on the front. Like this looks, for lack of a better term, fake for the public, if that makes sense.
There's a performance element to this.
Yes, very much so. Come in, come in. It's very. He starts after he's salted all of you. Come in, and take a seat. Which relative do you wish me to conjure for you? And he has like a round table with about 8 chairs around it. There's like a crystal ball in the middle. It's draped in this heavy velour. I mean, this place looks like every bad, tacky idea of what a psychic would, you know.
He's playing this up.
No matter how long ago or how soon of your loss, I will be happy to help you reach your relative and get the answers you are so longing for.
It's not a relative we're here to talk to, at least not one of our relatives.
A famous person, that's fine. I have much experience with these matters.
Perhaps introductions are in order first. My name is Nigel Fullmore, and I'll hand over the calling card. We are from the Notitia Office of Private Inquiry. Miss Price gave us a reference for you.
As soon as he gets the card and you start talking, he takes the turban with the big fake stone on it off and, oh, well, sit down. How can I help you? Would
Right.
you like a pot of tea?
Oh yes, absolutely. Can't get enough of the stuff.
And so he basically just like an on-off switch. The showman, the big grandiose, is just gone.
Like, no, we have an actual job.
Sit. And then as soon as he walks back in, because you guys are now seated, he goes, no, absolutely not. And he starts directing you to different chairs. And then there's
Right.
one chair that apparently none of you can sit in, and he doesn't even sit in. You can't sit
That
there.
that chair is for
Marvin's
the
there.
ghost.
He really that's Marvin's chair. Don't sit there. It ticks him
I
off, and I have to hear about it all day. And I refuse to hear about it all day.
right. Well,
Just
perhaps you
not
should
doing that.
explain why we're here. We're currently working as part of an investigation into a certain business that's having its shipments stolen. There is a ghost around one of their offices. I have seen the spirit myself. And we were wondering if you could perhaps talk to the ghost and ask him a few
He
questions.
just starts blinking, and it's weird. Like really weird. Almost does anybody have any like medicine in their skill set?
Nope.
No,
Nah.
then you have
Nope.
no idea. Like but you do know that whatever you're saying is no longer registering. And then he kind of comes back and is like just kind of dazed looking for a moment. And then right. You were saying something I don't recall. What were you saying?
Right. So we are part of an investigation into a business that's having some of its shipments stolen, and there is a ghost around their office who may have seen something, and we would like you to ask them a few questions.
Yeah, I can do that. And he seems a little breathy and a little out of it still, but
Are you
trying
all
to
right,
focus.
sir?
He just kind of sighs and looks, and he turns his eyes on Morgana. Lady Morgana. Your grandmother's pissed off, and she won't shut up. Tell her to shut up.
Which grandmother?
The
The
loud
dead one.
I mean, they could possibly both be dead. And technically, if they weren't dead, he would just be like, then I guess it's your great grandmother, but the one who won't shut up.
Grandmother, please could you leave the nice man alone? I'm sure you're deeply upset about me actually trying to work for a living, but please,
Oh
I'm
my
trying to
God.
work
And
here.
she hates your clothes. She says you're dressed like a strumpet. A strumpet. What is wrong with that woman? Like, he
She's
seems
very
really
traditional.
agitated. Well, you're apparently supposed to get married, have babies, and stop dressing like a strumpet. See, I told her, will you please stop?
Well, it's the 1880s. A young lady can choose how she wishes to live her life. This is not the time for the argument that I honestly thought we weren't going to have after the funeral.
After the funeral, yeah. He's literally like he's trying to have a drink of his tea. His hands are actually shaking.
I will adjust my glasses. So, that aside, and I'll make a show of putting my hands in one spot and then moving them to another spot. That aside, can you help us?
So as you're saying this, where's your tea glass?
Just sitting in front of me.
Yeah, it just dumps in your lap.
Ah,
Okay, Marvin, I got him out of your chair. Really? I'm trying to work. Do you think that if I don't have jobs that I can afford anything, let alone a roof over your chair?
oh my
And he
goodness.
just is basically half stood up, hands on the table, for all intent purposes, he is, as far as you can see, yelling at an empty chair.
I'm gonna switch on astral sight. This is getting too much.
I'm not just. We're just gonna. Yeah, you go ahead and roll it. Let's see what you get.
Yeah, make a couple of gestures and switch on astral sight. This is getting ridiculous. Come on, man. Right. Okay. So. For astral sight, 2d8. I got 10.
Yeah. You barely, and it's almost overwhelming. The spiritual. It's tumultuous. It's like it's almost a spiritual storm around him. Like there's multiple spirits all kind of swirling in this weird. Roll me an Arcana.
What? Like magic theory or?
Magic theory. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Magic.
Right.
Too many games. I was running
No.
something else the other day, so.
9 on the magic theory.
They're swirling in a pattern, and you may or may not totally understand why that might be important, but you feel like there's something important about the fact that they swirl in a pattern. The connectiveness of how and what that is missing for you, kind of, but you feel like that's important.
Right. Well, I'm not a medium, so I can't really tell these things. But what I can do is look for Marvin and tell him off for dumping tea in my lap.
There is actually some spirit, and that spirit in particular seems more formed than most of the ones that are swirling in that storm around James.
Right. You,
And he's
Marvin.
giving you like the evil eye. Like he's not even looking at the ranting James. He's staring at you, and his eyes aren't there. They are black holes, and they are beady and pretty kind of almost evil, scary looking at you. Like this is horror film level staring at you.
Right. You must be Marvin. Can we work, please? This is completely unnecessary.
And James kind of tiredly plops down in his chair. Sorry. Yes, I can totally talk to spirit for you. It pretty much they never shut up anyhow. None of them ever shut up.
Right. Well, now I'm going to do a change of clothes, and will Marvin be coming along for the ride as well?
He very kind of tiredly sighs, God, I hope not. He doesn't usually leave the house.
Right. And I will glare at the spirit.
Who is glaring back at you, and it gets creepier the longer because it's these two dark, horrid, scary looking holes. They don't blink, and he hasn't turned his head from you this entire time. He's just glaring at you with the soulless, eyeless holes in his head.
This is redundant. He's already dead.
And James says something along the lines of, this was a lot easier when I had to just make it all up.
Well, it's good that you can help us. Forgive me. My name is Weymont. I am the group's resident magician.
Do you hear them too?
Only when I concentrate.
Lucky. And he seems a little, like, ragged around the edges.
Well,
yeah. When would you like me to go, and where am I going?
I'll write down the address form and pass it over. So this is the address. We'll accompany you, of course. We are attending as investigators for the insurance company.
Okay. When should I be there?
I'll go answer the rest of the group. So, today, tomorrow,
May as well get it over with now.
Right. Well, I will need to go and get a change. I don't think showing up with tea all over me would be a very good look. And I'll glare at Marvin again.
All right, so tomorrow was what you guys decided. I lost concentration. Sorry.
I think it was more today, as soon as
Today.
Weymont has changed.
Oh, okay. As soon as
Yes.
Weymont has changed.
Yeah, because
And
we're at the
are you guys going
we're
to
after
take
lunch at this
James?
point.
Yeah, you guys are gonna take James, or James is meeting you there.
I suppose we may as well take James and find somewhere to wait while Weymont changes.
Yeah, of course we'll take James. Guy needs to get out of the house.
So
Maybe
does
Weymont should put on something that doesn't upset
does
the
Morgana
spirits so much.
Does Morgana ask her to reach the other grandmother?
Probably not.
Okay. It's
She has questions, but
so it takes James about 20-30 minutes to be ready. You guys were expecting, I don't know, get a hat, get a cane, get a coat, cloak, something. He goes back and he comes out and he's got gloves, which isn't unusual, but he's got gloves. He's got a scarf that's covering most of his face. He's got these god weird awful goggles on. He's got all these trinkets hanging off of him everywhere.
Oh, this is going to be fun to bring him into the office.
He
you have everything you need.
I hope so. He can be very loud. Sometimes this helps. And he'll even, as you guys are going, he seems to be changing these colored lenses in the goggles. He puts on a second pair of gloves at one point. He occasionally is screaming at something that none of you can see, and occasionally, like at one point, he stops and he kneels down as if he's talking to maybe a child. And then he's
I'm still using
hugging
astral
in the
perception.
ear. Are you still using it? Then you
Yeah,
are
I'm
occasionally
still.
seeing things like he's ranting at some guy who you can't see it terribly clearly, but it looks like the silhouette may have a knife. The one that he kneels down and hugs seems to be a little kid, little boy, maybe 4 or 5. Some of the glimpses that you see, give me another astral. I want to see how much you actually concentrating wise see.
11.
11. So the more you're concentrating, the more you kind of are, because when he brings it to your attention, the more it comes into focus. The guy with the knife looks fucking scary as shit. Like Freddy Krueger if you were a 6-year-old staring at it, scary as shit.
Dang.
The little boy, the back half of his head is missing. Like some of what you're seeing, and you're not totally sure because you usually don't see things this clearly, so you're not sure if it's because he's pointing it out and that's causing you to focus, or if it's something literally about James is making them more, much like the knocking over the teacup. But you're seeing some of this stuff in a lot more focus than you've ever seen, and some of it is scary as fuck. Like these are not necessarily I fell asleep and just didn't wake up things. These are bad things.
Right. Well,
And you're starting to
I'll,
get a feeling for why maybe James is a little off.
I'll pat James on the shoulder. Right. Well,
He kind of
come
jumps
along.
when you do that and just it's so sad.
It's only me.
Yeah, he's not
Right.
talking about you. He's just it's so sad. So young. So sad. It's not fair really.
Well,
Never
yes.
is. It just never is. Like, there are points where you're not totally sure that James is checked in. And you're not sure. There's one point where he pauses and that weird blinking thing hits again. And then he'll start moving again. It's 10 seconds, 15 seconds. He kind of clears up. He's very dazed for a little bit afterwards. But he'll keep moving. So it does make this very strange, especially for you. Does Nigel ever turn on Astral
I
in any of
wasn't
this
intending
insanity?
to.
You don't have to. I'm just making sure that I don't skip over you.
Yeah, no, I was not intending to turn it on.
That's probably
I'm
for
more
the
trying to
best.
figure out how the hell are we gonna play this off for this guy if he's actually coming to the office.
Good luck. So, you guys get to the office. Like I said, it takes longer, even with Wayland having to change clothes. By the way, Wayland, seeing all this
Yes.
shit, you might have some rough dreams. I'm just gonna.
Oh, that's perfectly all right. I know how it is.
Yeah. Because occasionally some of the stuff is. And some of it that you see, just some of the swirling around, just that seems weirdly calmer than some of the stuff that's not just swirling around.
So willpower check to hold it together then.
You know, you this is a little taxing, and you're not even. I think you might feel a little bit of pity for James, because you can turn this off, but as far as you can tell, James cannot.
Hmm. Well, I'll make a willpower check if you need me to.
Well, let's go ahead. Let's just see. Could be fun.
It
If you
might
fail it,
be.
it could be fun.
Oh, if I fail, it'll be terrible.
It'll be
I
fun.
got. That is not fail. That is a 22.
Oh yeah, no, you stiff upper lip and all that. Let's see. No, you got this.
Yeah.
He's still mad because of the tea.
Yeah, it's so bad over the tea. I mean, once you have clean clothes on, dry clothes, you're a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Of
you guys
course.
get to the office, and you go through the back door to the thing, and they buzz you in, and they recognize part of you because you've been here before. A couple of you have been here a couple of times, right? You are getting the complete looks of what the fuckness when they, it's like, yeah, what the, what the
He's a
royal,
specialist. Don't worry, we know what we're doing.
Do we
um,
though?
I mean, he's
um,
certainly special.
Our job is to look like we know what
one,
we're doing. We work for
one
that
moment,
impression.
and instead of like buzzing you in, she basically buzzes herself in, makes sure that the door, you can hear that she like pulls the door to make sure it clicks behind her, you know, up the staircase till you can't hear it anymore, right? And then a few minutes, it takes a couple, 3, 4 minutes, so by the time you start there, footsteps, and she opens the door and she goes, of course, I apologize about the delay. I'm very sorry about that. Please head on upstairs. Mr. Wright is ready to see you, all of you.
Thank you. I think if we could perhaps make use of the conference room.
Of course. The conference room was on the second floor, wasn't it? Or was it on the first floor and it was the other blank
It
office?
was in with the offices.
Yeah. So I'm sure Lucy would be happy to set that up for you. She really hasn't taken her eyes off of James.
Yeah, well,
And James just goes and he stops in front of this poor woman and blinks and says, "Your dad says he's sorry and your husband's a perfectly fine man after all." And just walks off. And she's just
Yep.
like totally in the what the fuckness. And you can actually kind of see she pulls the door, pushes the door, like she makes sure that it's closed when you guys go up, but she may be a little weirded out.
yeah, she's not alone.
Lucy is... Oh. And she doesn't seem quite as shocked because obviously the other woman has said something. Mr. Wright would be happy to see you. And she's kind of looking at all of you going, would you like to use the conference room?
Yes, please.
Please.
Give me just a moment. And you see her scuttle off to that little kind of area where she obviously where she makes the tea and all that, and she starts getting a cart ready, and she then leads you guys in the cart in, and Mr. Wright will be right with you, and within a few moments he's there. It's obviously, she sets the tea and stuff, gets you guys set up, then goes and tells him and has him come over. No major delays with it, just takes a couple minutes. And he comes in, and even though you're positive that, much like the second floor receptionist told Lucy, you are positive that Lucy said something to Eddington, right? But he still seems very, the hell one says, staring at James. And he just kind of, it's like he wants to say something, realizes that maybe not the most etiquette correct thing, stops, makes a cup of tea, takes a couple of drinks, sits down. I apologize for keeping you waiting. How can I be of assistance? As if now James is perfectly normal, like he's just completely decided to just go with that.
Okay.
Good day, Mr. Wright. We haven't had the pleasure. I am Morgana Whitworth. I'm working with my colleagues. We have brought along a specialist.
I think that, and he just starts kind of like, your mother, your grandmother, your great grandfather bought a watch. Is it still like?
I imagine Morgana's like, please don't talk about my grandmother right now.
He won't get that. That one was my maternal grandmother. He won't get that one from my surname, probably.
Sorry. Yes, no, it's lovely to see you. Oh, as if it just dawns on him. That's why you were in looking for, and he starts rattling off a piece of jewelry that you had basically designed. Like, as if he kind of has some ideas on some of the stuff because he's been around it his whole life.
Morgana will smile. I didn't see any reason not to try and kill two birds with one stone.
No, of course. Charmed, and your other new colleagues.
I will introduce River, and this is James. He is a specialist in spiritual matters. My colleagues noticed during their investigations that you have there's a spirit present here, and we feel he may prove a useful witness to goings on in this office.
Oh, I didn't know that we had a spirit here, but
we don't believe anyone else does either, my dear. Hence why we suspect he might have witnessed some things that people don't. Well,
then the investigation is going well.
We've uncovered some things that may alarm you a little. This is true.
Dear,
we are
more than having a spirit.
We are making progress, but we want to see how threads terminate.
What would alarm me more than the spirit?
Well, we've been looking over your ledgers, you see.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's some inconsistencies. We took them.
He is honestly shocked by that. Inconsistencies.
Yes, very. Well, we took them to a third-party accountant to have them evaluated, and yes, it's not good.
No, see, Mark would have noticed. He's very good at these things.
I'm sure he did. After all, He's the one that put them there.
The look of utter shock. Okay, the look at James, that was shocking. That there's a spirit. Okay, that was a bit much, right? The look of absolute utter shock. Now, everybody in the room makes a dexterity or anything that you think might help you, if like dodge, avoid blow, anything like that.
Well, I'll be going on straight dexterity because, you know.
I'm going to go with just straight dexterity. I do have riposte, but I suspect that one won't apply. Because
I'm sorry,
that's
you have what?
specifically riposte, which is for parrying weapons. So unless someone's stabbing me.
I don't think that this will apply now.
No.
12? Yeah, anything above a 9 totally is fine.
Alright, I got 11, that's fine.
Oh, 7. On step, though.
I got a 2.
Oh, dear goodness, Nigel. Okay, so
5.
August and Nigel, anybody else below?
Well, you know,
Or
I
just
also
August
didn't want to reveal this. I'm going to wait and use it.
Morgana gets a 5, so.
Okay, so Morgana, August, and Nigel. So Morgana, no, August. August, you, like, okay, as in general for everyone, the room basically explodes. Glasses, teapot, everything is either literally like thrown around, breaking, smashing against walls, smashing against you, pens, papers, the whole thing.
Oh,
August, you
that's
get
not
hit. It's more of an annoyance in the fact that like you have tea all over you and there's some creamer on your shoulder. Um,
nice.
oh goodness.
We're fine.
Not August, not Nigel. Who was the other one? Morgana?
Morgana.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Morgana,
me.
that you take probably about 2 points of damage as you just get nailed in like the head with a saucer in this whole mess as everything just went paching everywhere. Um, Nigel, you're going to take 5 points of damage as literally at this point a fork, it's a little dessert fork, is like stuck in your hand and you've been pelted with china and you've got like a nick in your cheek where some saucer or cup that was already broken scratched against you. Like it's not enough to really stop you or anything like that. But it's definitely enough to be like, what the fuck? Because this room has literally like imploded. And James is standing up and has somehow managed to climb his happy butt onto the table with all of the stuff and has like tossed the goggles and pulled off the gloves and is just like, you will stop this instant. That you may not have a temper tantrum. You will stop that right now. And poor to make poor Eddington, he's also got sugar all over him and he's got some nicks and some cuts in like his suit jacket and hands and on his cheeks. Nothing life threatening, but and he is just, it's almost as if it hasn't totally registered for him. Like he is just, he's gone from what the fuck to oh my gosh to oh my god to the hell anyone says. Like he is just right.
This isn't the sort of thing that happens to him. Therefore, it hasn't
No.
happened.
Yeah. Like he is gone, right? And James is up there yelling at basically the top of his lungs. What is everybody else doing, if anything?
Taking
Um,
cover?
Taking cover.
After being hit being hit by a saucer, probably uttering a word that a lady of her social standing and upbringing shouldn't know, and then taking a bit more cover.
Under the desk is probably the best cover you're going to find in here. Anybody else? What are we doing?
Is there salt in the room?
Yes. It'll be on one of the sideboards.
I'm gonna pour a handful of salt and dump it over myself.
Okay.
Hey, he said this helps.
He did. Lucy opens the door because she's heard the ruckus,
Duck woman!
screams, and closes the door. Anybody in Astral?
Not at present.
Okay. Okay, just checking. In a cup, it takes a minute or so, but the room, everything just kind of drops, like just straight down, as if whatever it was, just it stops.
The hell
And
was that?
James almost collapses. Like, I mean, he is like falls to his knees, kind of crumpled. What is it in yoga? It's child pose or whatever. Like he's kind of just like crumpled down,
Fetal
and
position.
he's fetal, not quite over onto his side for a fetal position, but like if he was, it almost looks like if he's bowing because he's like his knees and then fell forward, and he's kind of heavily breathing, like your grandfather's pissed. And Eddington
About
just kind of, not quite a faint, but almost into his chair. Well, I think my father would have taken it worse. So I guess I'm glad it wasn't my father. He looks very shell shocked, by the way.
I will step over to him and do my best in a polite, try and re-establish my polite lady credentials, and reassure him that this was not what we were expecting to happen.
So James just kind of another couple of seconds goes, "Ask your questions. I think I'd like to go home. Please." And he's kind of slowly climbing off the table, and he walks over to River, and he somewhat ungraciously just takes the salt shaker from her and is just like pouring it over himself. Questions for the ghost?
Uh, hmm. I take it the ghost knew about all this then?
I
No,
I suspect he's just found out.
he did not know. He was apparently Mark was rather trusted.
Has,
Not
He's a
for the
little
spirit
upset
at the
about
moment, but in general, where is Mark now?
Eddington blinks as it's taking him a moment to to sidetrack his brain, which is actually probably good so that he takes him out of this panicky moment he's having. He went to a long lunch. He's not made it back yet.
I suspect that lunch might be somewhat longer than you expect.
Do you know where he went for lunch?
River, you're near James when this is happening. Can I get a perception awarenessy thing?
$11.
When he says, I think it'll be a long lunch, and when he insinuates that Mark isn't coming back, you can see James kind of shake a bit as if he's trying to, it's taking a lot of his energy to hold on. Says, perhaps maybe the spirit was very angry about that comment. But it's a very physical toll you're seeing on James. So yeah, he took a long lunch, probably going to be longer than you thought. Continue.
Right. Has the spirit noticed anything unusual happening around the office in the last few weeks? People going into places that he wouldn't normally expect them to go into, that kind of thing.
He doesn't like Charlie. He doesn't like the newfangled thing. He doesn't like that she's not married. She's too easily swayed by a pretty face. Pretty man is too easily swayed by men looking for marriage. Can't. Too chatty. And he's seems to be very seriously trying to concentrate to understand. Slow down. Liked Mark, didn't like Mark. Then she liked someone else, someone from downstairs. He doesn't go downstairs, it's beneath him. Does any of that make sense?
Henry from downstairs?
Apparently, everyone downstairs is beneath him.
Well,
in between the ranting about unmarried women, but she had maybe a thing with Mark. Mark likes her, but she now likes the pretty face from downstairs.
That would be Henry.
Couldn't possibly say.
No,
Right.
I don't think you can kill Mark. He may not even come back. How are you going to kill him? With teacups? That's ridiculous.
If you could make clear to the departed Mr. Wright, we're not certain the current events are related to Mark's transgressions. We may need to use him to get to the bottom of it.
Your grandfather's slightly unreasonable.
Well, we're going to need to find Mark to do that.
Eddington kind of pulls his shoulders back and he goes, "Do you happen to know a good safe smith, opener, locksmith? I'm not sure what the correct term is. I believe I'd like to have a look in their safes." Like, you can see this, that, like, you've never really seen this from him, and he seems like such a meek, mild thing, but, like, he's angry. Like, he's really angry. James tries to bring you guys back to the anything else.
Well, if we want to have a look in the safes, unless they're astrally shielded, could the late Mr. Wright possibly get into there?
That's true. Does he know the combination to the safe, for example?
He doesn't need to know the combination if he can just phase through it.
I mean, I suppose that's true, but that doesn't help us looking at.
I think what he's
Doesn't
saying
mean
is
you can read what's
he
in the
has him
journals.
look
You can at
through
least
it,
see what's in there.
yeah, and tell you guys that's an actual possibility. We're not making deals. James is getting agitated. He wants to know if you'll tell him what it means if he tells you what's in it. Bossy
It
old
will
man.
help. It will help us into our investigations into people who are damaging his company.
But he wants to know if you'll tell him what it means.
With our utmost ability, yes.
Yes,
What
I
does
concur.
he mean by what does it mean? Is it something he needs to translate?
James is kind of blinking. I think that he doesn't know how necessarily it will connect to what you're investigating. I
Oh, well,
I don't know. I don't know.
we'll share what knowledge we can glean, certainly.
Where are the safes? And Eddington will actually lead basically the parade. Mark's door is actually locked, and it's never locked. Like, you guys have been in here before. It wasn't locked last time. Suddenly the door is actually locked. You're kidding me.
How complex a lock does it appear to be?
It doesn't appear to be super complex.
Like a big key type thing or a...
Yeah, like a key type thing.
Morgana's going to peel off as soon as that's there. Morgana's going to peel off the parade and go and find the secretary to see if she has any idea where Mark has gone for lunch.
Are you going to pick the lock?
I can try.
Give her a go. Lucy has no idea. He said he was going for a long lunch because he had a meeting with somebody. She didn't have anything written down about a meeting, but it wouldn't be the first time that he didn't tell her, that it was either last minute or he forgot to mention it.
Has that been happening more often recently?
No. He's been staying later some nights. She just assumed it had to do with this mess and that he was trying to beef up security.
Do you know which nights he stayed late on?
She can't 100% accurately, but she can tell you that there are certain nights that she totally remembers. She thinks there's a few others that she may have forgotten about.
I will thank her for that.
14.
Make some notes.
Hell yeah. You make it look easy. August just goes over and makes it look easy.
He'll remove some tools from the inner coat, with, in a pocket of his jacket.
Eddington would have raised an eyebrow at that if it hadn't been for, I don't know, the conference room exploding.
Yes, all of the other things that just
All the other
happened.
things that just happened.
Ah!
Make that less intriguing at the moment.
Hiding our social faux pas behind audacity. Go us.
James goes to where he gets shown the safe. He actually puts his hand on the safe, which is leading some of you to believe that perhaps James actually is a conduit to making this more substantial. There's ledger. There's a ledger. There's papers. There's papers in a ledger.
Okay.
Papers, ledgers, ledgers, numbers, other numbers, not the same numbers, different numbers, numbers. Papers. Jewels. There's jewels. jewels, papers, numbers. Ledger. There's a ledger, and some more papers, and some gems.
I suppose to tell anything, we'd have to see the papers.
Taking a look at the safe, does it look like this is a combination, or...
Yeah, it's a combination safe.
Hmm.
Which August might be able to pick. If August happens to have, like, a couple of tools, which maybe August would. I don't know.
I have my lockpicking tools with me.
So safe combination ones, usually they use, you'll see a lot of times they use like a stethoscope to see if they can hear where the click is different.
Before we do that, asking Lucy the
You want
secretary,
to-
are there any particular dates that would be relevant to him? Birthdays, anniversaries,
She
something
knows
like
his
that?
birthday.
We can
knows
try
that-
the obvious ones.
She knows his anniversary, and she knows the year date that his wife died. They didn't have any children. So she's not sure if there are any other dates that would matter. But she knows his birthday, the day he got married, and the day his wife died.
Try.
When did he-
Just try what we have for the basics.
None of those work.
Okay. That's
When did he
It was a
become a
very
vice
smart
president?
What?
When did he become the vice president?
She doesn't know that exact date off the top of her head. She can look it up, though. The 10 does not crack the safe, but it was a very good try.
I figured it probably didn't.
But it was a darn good shot. I mean, especially after you made the door look so easy.
Yeah.
The door was a lot easier.
While that's going on, can we maybe take a look around his desk, see if there's any paperwork, anything he might have recently... is there like a notepad or anything like that on the desk, like with a blank sheet or something like that?
Yes. I will
Let's
also
do,
say, however,
if we can get
James
some
is
graphite.
starting to get shaky again. And
Right,
he's
well,
like, can we move this along?
Of course. Right, just before you let go of the spirit, James, does the late sir know anything about the combination of the safe?
No, but other safe. There's another safe. We're supposed to see another safe.
Carly's.
Go ahead and tend to the other safe. While you're doing that, if we get a piece of graphite on that blank piece of paper on Mark's desk, I want to do the trick where you lightly cover it and just see if you can get, reveal what he wrote down last.
Absolutely, you can. The other safe is empty. James wants to know if at that point he can let go of the spirit. He would really like to let go of the spirit.
Yes, that's fine.
James is like worn the fuck out. Like he is pale and shaky and just like happy to be sat out in like the entrance lobby area and left alone for a little bit. So we will just, if you guys don't mind, I think we'll just leave James there for a little bit.
Just let him lie down there for a minute.
Yeah, just let him lie down for a minute. James really would like to just, not for a moment. Okay, so Mark's office, graphite, should be able to find that easy enough on the thing. There's some numbers, but I don't know if the numbers mean anything to anybody.
I'm wondering if maybe there's like an address or...
No, Lucy knows his home address.
Well,
But she's not
I was
sure if
looking to
that's
see if
gonna-
maybe he wrote down where he was going.
Nope.
It
was a good try, though.
Is
I
it
see
just
what-
numbers that are on the pad?
Yes.
Is the safe a combination?
Yes.
I will try those numbers in the safe.
No. But good try.
Okay.
Are they coordinates?
Nope.
Yeah, is there a pattern to them? What can we?
August and maybe River. Give me just like a perception intelligence check.
Okay. Oh, not today. 4.
Okay.
11.
11. On an 11, those seem like they might be dock numbers. Because you come from not the richest side of town, if I remember right.
Yeah, and knowledge of trade routes.
Yeah, and the knowledge of trade routes and things like that, I figure you might have a chance at it. On an 11, those look like docking numbers.
Mr. Wright, were you expecting a shipment today?
Tonight, yes. From the colonies in the, what are they calling them, the south set, there's a really good productive mine, and we seem to be getting some lovely emeralds and a couple of very interesting rubies out of, and we're supposed to get them in tonight.
Read off the dock numbers. Do these sound like where they're going to be shipped to?
um he basically goes back to his office and comes up with what looks like a shipping manifest. And yes, the numbers match. He didn't know off the top of his head. It just that he didn't, like, yes, there are dark numbers, but he didn't, But on the desk and the manifest thing, yes, those numbers match.
Well, seems like it's going to be his last inside job.
Can't believe, can't believe Mark did this.
Well, we haven't caught him at it yet. We need to track him down.
There's actually kind of a shiver that kind of goes down everybody. There's some rustling of papers and stuff. But apparently, without James adding power, it's not like the explosion you had in the other room.
Do the papers
But
have anything in
apparently,
particular on them?
no, it's just the grandfather's ghost is apparently angry at the idea that not only is he embezzling, but possibly is the one who's stealing the shipments.
Okay. Is there a telephone at the docks?
I'm sure somewhere at the docks, probably with the dock authority, there is.
Yeah, like the
You never
harbour
know.
master's office or something like
Yeah, the
that.
harbor master. Yeah.
Would they? Do they have a working relationship with Mark? Would they know him? Like, could we call over to see if he's there?
No, I mean, Mark's high enough level that typically he doesn't. He sends the security people. He doesn't go out there.
But I'm wondering if that's where he went
It could be where he went, but he's not out there enough for them to have a,
to know.
like, we know
Gotcha.
what Mark looks like.
We can call and see if anyone from the company has made contact regarding the shipment.
You can do that.
If there's been any changes or anything like that.
Yep, you can do that. There have been no changes, and as far as I know, Mark has not contacted.
Let's see. This is a
We could
gemstone
just
shipment, so it's not going to go through the engine.
we could just head down to the docks. Have a look.
The shipment isn't due for a few hours because you guys are in mid-afternoon, maybe even late afternoon, close to closing time. The shipment's not supposed to totally
We
arrive
could-
until
Right. Well,
7,
but
8 o'clock tonight.
Okay,
we also
let's
want to
start
be
off.
able to catch Mark. We're assuming that he's going to come back here.
We don't know that.
We could ask around, see if anyone saw him taking a taxi or a taxi
Yeah.
cab or
Sure.
such.
But how about the very first thing we should check? What's his address? Where does he live?
Lucy gives you the address.
Right. Well, let's
He
go to
lives
his
in a
house and see if
really
it's been
nice-
there.
Yeah. So, is that where we're going? You guys make decisions. I shut up.
Mr.
Well,
Wright,
I mean,
you may
if he comes back here, though, do we want to tip him off that we're onto him?
I mean, I think he's already tipped off that we're onto him.
Well, yes, but he doesn't know how much we know.
Right, okay, but we still need to go out and see him, so we could leave someone here, just in case he comes back, and the rest of us could go out and have a look. How do you want to play this?
That's what I'm asking.
River, were you saying something?
Mr. Wright, you may want to call in a locksmith to access that safe. Think we should check the Mark's house or Mr. Johnson's house, and from there, I would prefer to set up at the docks to safeguard the security.
So,
Right.
as far as what goes to Mr. Wright, he doesn't know how to really reach a locksmith. He doesn't. But Lucy, he puts Lucy on that. So he's got Lucy getting a locksmith up. He basically says that if Mark comes back, he can have security up here waiting to hold Mark. He doesn't know if that will help you, but
That would seem a good idea.
so I mean he'll have Lucy call down and they'll bring up several of the security from basically.
I mean,
And
we've
Lucy's
got
like,
the
Lucy's
ledger
kind of like-
evidence to show that he's been embezzling. That's should be sufficient enough to have him arrested, or at least detained. You could have the police detain him, and then we could always reach him there.
if the police find him, they could detain him if he comes here. Yes, that he can have security hold them and then have the police come get him.
Right.
Yeah, like he can do that.
I would recommend to do what you can to not let him know you're aware until you have security available. Just make sure that they are on hand. Very likely that he'll make a run for it, and we don't want him to. We want to give him as few opportunities as possible.
So he'll make sure that everybody, security-wise, knows to look out for Mark and to detain Mark. He doesn't necessarily give all the details on why, but they are to detain Mark, and then they'll get the police if Mark comes back to the building.
And we can show the ledger evidence for the embezzling, because if they do have the police come in, they'll need to see that.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, then we're gonna go to Mark's house first.
Sounds like a plan.
Let's do that.
We may as well on the way ask around a little, see if anyone sees. Make some streetwise.
Like the receptionist on the second floor, because he would have had to go through there to leave. She knows that he asked for basically a cab, and that she rang up Block Car Company, and they came and picked him up. So he took a steam car somewhere from here. She didn't think twice of it. That's not unusual in the least. If he had a meeting someplace more than, a few blocks away,
No, but that does at least tell us that he drove a while.
Yeah. Well, his house would fall into that, or the docks fall into that, or a lot of places fall into that. But it didn't. She's feeling bad because obviously Mark has done something wrong, because that's why everyone's asking about it, and security's been beefed up. But it just isn't unusual,
No, she did her job, so.
Yeah. So she feels a little guilty whether she should or not, hey.
No, not her
She's
job to
sorry
have
she's
caught
not any
this.
help.
Just share the information so we can get it dealt with.
She can tell you which company that she contacted.
She phoned them.
I don't think that they have a phone. I think basically she sends a runner to do it.
Send a runner. Well, if we can get the name of the company and the address, they may be a.
And she can totally do that. She'll write that down for you. They use the same company all the time.
Yeah.
They have an account with them. I mean, technically, Lucy uses it on occasion for, late nights and, work stuff.
Well, I don't think that's going to help us too much unless we know the specific driver. They can say where he went.
The company would know the driver.
Yeah, they may keep records of who they sent out to which jobs.
Just to let you guys know, I'm gonna have to go pretty soon.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's half hour after we usually go, but we had the late start. Do we want to pause here and start with his home next time?
That would seem reasonable.
That seems a good idea.
Because I know that you guys, it's getting late over there. And the next one, everybody happy? Good game? Pleased with where
Yeah,
you're
that was
going?
great.
Okay. So the next game would be on the 8th, October 8th. And that one is a late start, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. I think you guys did great. There was a lot of really good investigation. And I know some of the stuff wasn't panning out, but it was really good thought process, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's why we throw all the different angles at it so we can see which ones stick.
Right?
I think mine and Michelle's new sound technology seemed to work better as well.
Oh yeah, definitely noticed fewer issues on this end, so I think that was
yeah,
a good
I could hear her much better.
Excellent.
Yay! I invested in a cheap pair of wireless headphones.
I really
Cool.
feel like you guys did really good investigation. I'm going to make it 400. Brad, that seemed reasonable. You guys did really good investigation. Is 400 fair, reasonable?
Fine. You're the GM.
Well, but you know the system, I would hope, better than me. I think that you guys did really good, so.
One of these days I will spend something.
You can. I think that puts your guys' total, if the running total is correct, at 2,100. So
Yep.
you have stuff to spend.
I do, and I will.
I don't feel like I've been stingy. I'm not
No,
being stingy.
I'm just not great at spending things.
Yeah, all of a sudden it'll be, 5 months later, and then your character just boom, I know everything. It's just like.
What skill do I need for now?
I will learn those as I need them. Thank you. Okay. Well, you guys were awesome. It was a very good game. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
That was a lot of fun, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And next week, Doom. No, 2 weeks Doom. There you go.
Yay, Doom. Wait, no, the other thing.
All right. Good night. Everybody say goodbye.
Bye.
See ya.
Goodbye.
All right,
And
so
then Brad can
Yep.
turn
Goodbye,
off.
everybody.
Yep, we'll wrap everything up. So yes, thank you for everybody who has tuned in. Don't forget we have the Kickstarter currently going for 1879. I did post the link for that in the chat. You can also see that on our announcements on Discord. And I will be hosting 1879 Line Developer Office Hours in about an hour and a half from now. This will also be broadcast on Twitch, so if you have questions about the line, or comments or anything else like that, feel free to tune in there. We'll have voice chat for that on Discord. We'll take all the commentary through Discord and Twitch and all of that. And if you can't make that, feel free to watch because we will upload the recording for that onto YouTube later. With that, I think we're good to go. So everybody have a good rest of your day and hope to see you later.
Good
See ya.
night.